Chapter 51. Lin Qingjun looked at Instructor Wang, raised his finger and pointed at his nose and said, "Instructor Wang, you don't recognize me?" Instructor Wang shook his head. "I don't know. There are so many students and I can't possibly know everyone. Hurry up and let the other one step down." This. Logically speaking, most instructors know who they are. After all, with his SSS level talent, most people know him. In other words, only mentors at the level of gold medal mentors know that they are SSS level contractors. Lin Qingjun raised his hand and put it on Shirdi's head, rubbing it. "Teacher Wang, this is my contract spirit. It's humanoid." As soon as these words came out, everyone present was stunned. Damn, I forgot about the humanoid contract spirit. It's not that they don't remember, it's that they don't react. Because the chance of a humanoid contracted spirit appearing as a pure-blooded divine beast or a holy beast is even lower. In addition, humanoid contract spirits are originally human beings, so mistakes are normal. Instructor Wang said uncertainly, "Seriously?" Lin Qingjun shrugged. "Do you believe me when I say it's cooked? Save time. The competition starts now." After saying that, he stepped aside. Lin Qingjun's eyes turned light blue, and his crystal eyes activated. The power of time and space is activated, and the figure disappears. Opposite Jingtang was shocked. Why did the other party disappear out of thin air? As soon as he was doubtful, he felt a sharp pain in his stomach. Then the body flew out upside down. When he looked up again, Lin Qingjun appeared where he had just stood. This scene shocked many people. What kind of magical operation is this? Does this person have spatial powers? No, I don't think it takes time to use space powers. Teleportation also takes time, but he almost came directly to Jingtang. "Oh, how do you fight this?" He doesn't need time when he comes to you, he just slaps you. And if you want to fight back, he disappears directly. There is no solution. If he is so arrogant, why haven't I seen this person before? Jingtang stood up and looked at Lin Qingjun and exhaled. Click, he spread out the fan in his hand, and the fan suddenly lit up with blue light. He waved towards Lin Qingjun, and 3 balls of strong wind blew towards him. The latter's eyes flashed and his figure disappeared again. The 3 balls of strong wind blew away and exploded in the distance with a huge noise. Jingtang didn't care whether the blow was empty or not, but in desperation, he poured part of his energy into the fan. He suddenly fanned to the ground. Hoo-hoo-ho, a small tornado suddenly rose from the ground, shrouding him in it. At this time, Lin Qingjun appeared in front of the small tornado and looked at Jingtang in the eye of the storm. "She's pretty good at hiding." "Oh, you can come in if you can." Jingtang closed the fan, tapped his palms and said. But as soon as he finished speaking, he quickly spread out his fan and slapped Lin Qingjun fiercely. 2 groups of strong winds emerged from the storm and flew in the direction of Lin Qingjun. The latter disappeared as soon as Jingtang spread out his fan. Appeared next to the Emperor of Time. The latter shifted his gaze away from the clouds in the sky and looked at Lin Qingjun. "Recklessly wasting the power of time and space will only put you to death." Lin Qingjun smiled and said, "Then tell me what to do." "Use the power of time and space to launch an attack directly. Don't think about the future you see. It will only affect the direction of your thinking and hinder the speed of your actions. The future can always be changed and cannot be fully trusted." Emperor Shi crossed his arms and said, "It is always a mistake to blindly believe what you see, because he has already deceived before." Lin Qingjun nodded, but then asked, "Then why did you ask me to practice my eyes?" The Emperor of Time glared and said, "It can quickly improve your mastery of the laws of time and space. Now is only the early stage. In the later stage, you can use pupil skills to see through many things." Lin Qingjun looked at Jingtang in the small storm. "After thinking about it, I decided to give it a try." He activated the power of time and space and flashed above the ladder. Spin around in a circle and punch down. Before Jingtang could react, he was knocked down by a punch. The small tornado then dissipated. He pressed on Jingtang and said with a smile, "Senior, do you admit defeat?" Jingtang tried to raise his arms, but couldn't lift them at all. Sighed. "I give up." The weapon soul contractor does not have the same physique as the beast soul contractor. Moreover, although they have many ways of attacking, their focus is on the contracted spirits. Once controlled, it will be useless if you cannot activate your soul. Lin Qingjun looked around, shrugged, and walked off the stage. Teacher Wang struck the gong and said, "Lin Qingjun wins this game and the next one." Yijia looked at Lin Qingjun's back and whispered, "Why does this boy's back look so familiar?" A man on stage number 1 had just finished defeating his opponent when he saw Lin Qingjun defeating Jingtang. Where did this number 1 figure come from? Why don't I know him? Lin Qingjun looked at the blackboard and said, the next game is at 8 p.m. on the 12th field. Well, we have time to play. Let's go, take Shitty outside. But not long after walking, he met Zhong Feng head-on. The latter looked at him and frowned. Is the competition over? I was thinking of going to see yours. Or maybe you didn't participate in the competition. Oh, Mr. Zhong, you are wrongly accusing me. I finished the competition more than 10 minutes ago. The next competition is at 8 o'clock. Will you come? So fast? Is your opponent so weak? It's okay. Let's go, mentor. Lin Qingjun waved his hand, turned and left, but turned back after a few steps. Teacher Zhong, where is the Wuling Realm competition held? Zhong Feng thought for a moment and said, Wuling Jing, they are competing in the arena, but you can't get in. Damn, can't I go even with my status as an SSS level contractor? Do you really think this is your personal VIP pass? Only people of my level know your identity, as well as the students present here. Oh, why? Are you afraid that I will be ambushed and killed by people from other cities? The three of them walked and pulled at the same time. Zhong Feng shook his head and said, that's not the case. It's another way of protecting you. We don't want to raise people's expectations of you too high. Otherwise, when you grow up, they will be hostile to you. You become addicted, and you become addicted. Lin Qingjun scratched the back of his head and said with a smile, Teacher Zhong, you don't have to do this. Even if you do this, I will try my best to hide my identity in the crowd because I don't like being noticed by too many people. That's not up to you in the future. Zhong Feng looked at Lin Qingjun's somewhat immature face, sighed in his heart and said, I'm a little surprised that you didn't become arrogant and look down on others because of your talent. Lin Qingjun smiled and glanced at Shitty from time to time. Oh, we're here. This is Wu Ling's duel venue. Chapter 52. Boom. Suddenly, there was a huge explosion inside. Smoke and dust flew up, and Lin Qingjun, who was standing outside, was stunned. Oh my goodness, is this being bombed by missiles? Zhong Feng walked inside with a calm expression. When you reach Wuling Realm, each upgrade to a higher realm will be a qualitative change. Come in with me. Lin Qingjun came to his senses and followed Zhong Feng's pace. With Zhong Feng leading the way, they entered without any obstacles. Come and sit in the audience seats. I saw that there were only 2 people standing on the huge playing field. A man was holding a spear and had many wounds on his body. Pingting, take another shot from me. He wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and waves spread on his spear, which he suddenly swung directly towards his opponent. Buzz, the sound of gunfire shook, and a crescent-shaped blue gun blade over 10 meters long slashed towards the opponent. The man named Pingting was holding a green flute and had many injuries on his body. He snorted and said, Fantion, don't underestimate me. It's just a matter of taking a move. As soon as he finished speaking, he held the flute with both hands, put it to his mouth and started to play. As the flute sounded, the sound waves from the flute were wrapped in energy and surrounded the body. At this time, the gun blade had already arrived in front of him and hit Pingting's defense directly. The smoke and dust flew up again, and when it dissipated, Pingting was standing there intact. It's just that his body's breath is a little disordered. When Pingting looked forward, he dreamed that there was no one where Fantion was standing. Buzz, at this moment, he felt an extremely cold light on his right side. Without thinking, he swung the flute to the right. Ding, the flute was picked up and flew away, with a cold light stopping at the throat. Fantion grinned and said, This time, you lost. Pingting exhaled, smiled and shook his head, saying, I give up. The referee stepped forward and said, The next match is between Lin Qingjun and He Xiaochun. It will start in 5 minutes. When Lin Qingjun heard the name, he was stunned. Wow, a little fangirl versus a straight man. I wonder who will win. 5 minutes passed quickly. Lin Qingjun and He Xiaochun walked onto the stage. The latter smiled and said, Brother Qingjun, you have not practiced for such a long time, and your realm has just entered the Wuling realm, while I am already at the peak of the 3rd level of the Wuling realm. How can you beat me? Lin Qingjun raised his head and looked outside. His younger brother had just broken through to the Hogyoku realm, so he shouldn't be at a disadvantage fighting against those old-timers in the Hogyoku realm. He shook his head, looked at He Xiaochun and nodded. 3 years ago, you were just a freshman, but now that your realm is higher than mine, do you think you can bully the senior? Foaming blood harp appeared in his arms, and he said, Don't underestimate senior. He Xiaochun waved his hand, and a lotus bud appeared behind him. Then the bud grew rapidly and turned into a mature lotus. The lotus flower unfolds little by little, revealing a sleeping flower elf lying inside. The flower elf opened his eyes and yawned. Suddenly, petals fell from the sky, along with the alluring fragrance of flowers. Lin Qingjun frowned, sat cross-legged, and placed the guqin on his legs. Slender fingertips plucked a string. Invisible sound waves spread, and the Fire Phoenix sound domain covered most of the competition venue with Lin Qingjun as the center. Xiaochun clearly felt that his own strength had been greatly affected. His eyes focused, and he activated the skill immediately without hesitation. The petals on the ground in the sky shook, lit up, and began to rotate clockwise. Then it shot towards Lin Qingjun. The latter exhaled lightly and closed his eyes. The slender fingertips quickly plucked the strings of the Fengling blood harp. The piano sounds spread out and connected into beautiful piano sounds, but it sounded particularly unpleasant to Xiaochun's ears. Influenced by the sound of the piano, he began to feel a little restless. The attacks on Lin Qingjun became more and more fierce. Two phoenixes appear. Cry. Two phoenix shadows appeared behind Lin Qingjun. Then it hovered around him. The scattered petals would catch fire as soon as they came into contact with the double phoenixes, and finally turned into ashes. Xiaochun frowned when she saw this scene. With a wave of his hand, a large number of petals hovering in the air rushed towards the shadows of the two phoenixes. Cry. The two phoenixes let out a long cry and began to spray flames at the petals that were rushing towards them. But there were too many petals. After burning a large number of petals, Shuangfeng was still controlled by the petals. A hint of joy appeared on Xiaochun's somewhat irritated expression. Burst. Lin Qingjun had a blank expression on his face, his thin lips slightly parted. As soon as the words fell, Shuangfeng's eyes suddenly lit up with a fiery light. The gorgeous body swelled rapidly. Then it rushed into the sea of petals above the sky with large petals. Then it exploded directly. The power of the explosion directly burned 1/3 of the sea of flowers. Stay. Keep attacking. Xiaochun waved her hand again, and the sea of petals in the sky condensed into the shape of a sword and pressed down towards Lin Qingjun below. Lin Qingjun still had his eyes closed, but the movements of his hands playing the piano were 0.5 times faster than before. The sound of the piano changed from peaceful to slightly exciting. 100 birds are singing. As the words fell, there was a chirping sound as if countless birds were calling. Countless birds gathered around Lin Qingjun. Then with a chirping sound, a huge sword formed by the petals flying into the sky rose up from the sky. As it waited to get close to the petal sword, with a chirping sound, Huawei's sonic waves exploded. The petals affected by the sound waves seemed to lose control, breaking away from the petal sword and drifting away with the wind. Then countless birds chirped and flew into the sky behind them. Soon, only the last petal of the petal sword was left and it fell down. Lin Qingjun raised his hand, pinched the petal, and opened his eyes. He looked at Xiaochun and said, "You are completely restrained by me. Do you still want to continue the competition?" Xiaochun exhaled lightly and smiled bitterly. "I thought I would use this move in the next few games, but I didn't expect it to be used so soon." The flower elf behind her clasped her hands together, and flower buds grew out of thin air on the playing field. Then it grows quickly and blooms little by little. Lin Qingjun said nothing more, closed his eyes again and started playing. The sea of sound and fire transforms into a sky phoenix. The sound waves he emitted turned into flames, and the flames condensed and rose, once again transformed into the shadow of a phoenix. But this phoenix is much more solid and gorgeous than the previous two phoenixes, and has more three-dimensional and clear features. At this time, the flower buds have grown completely and are blooming little by little. When the last flower bud bloomed, energy drifted out and condensed into a giant flower elf. The phoenix and the elf looked at each other and attacked at the same time. In the audience, Lin Qingjun was stunned as he watched the scene that looked like something out of a fantasy movie. I thought it would take a long time before this kind of fantasy perspective combined with the Wuling realm appeared. Chapter 53. Zhong Feng touched his belly and laughed a few times. You know, when you reach the Wuling realm, you can break through that layer of restraint, and a pair of wings will grow behind you. Lin Qingjun was stunned. Wings? How can I grow wings? And even if I have wings, why don't they fight in the sky? You will know when the time comes. I can only tell you that the Wuling realm is the realm that truly transcends ordinary people. Zhong Feng kept the secret. Damn it, Mr. Zhong. I despise you. Can't you just finish what you're saying? You have to keep me in suspense. Humph, you always swear. Who did you learn this from? Can you be more civilized? Lin Qingjun scratched his head and said, Teacher Zhong, I have been like this since I was a child. I am used to swearing. Are you different and also swear? Zhong Feng, did I say that? As a teacher, how could I possibly say bad words? Really? Lin Qingjun curled his lips. I don't even want to say anything about you. Dirty words can help me relieve my boredom and anger. If I don't swear, I might be suffocated to death. Boom. A huge crash erupted on the playing field. Lin Qingjun turned his head and saw that the flower elf was knocked to the ground by the fire phoenix. It was destroyed with a few tearings. Lin Qingyang stood up and looked at He Xiaochun and asked, Are you admitting defeat? The latter let out a long sigh and forced a smile. Brother Qingyang is really amazing. He doesn't show any mercy at all. She was unable to do anything to Lin Qingyang from the very beginning, and even after using her hidden big move, she was still easily defeated. Lin Qingyang plucked a string with his fingertips, and a clear sound of the piano rang out. He Xiaochun was stunned, and suddenly his previous irritable mood disappeared, and he became extremely calm. Ugh, Brother Qingyang is so bad. After saying that, he turned and ran away. Lin Qingyang scratched his head, bewildered. What did I do wrong? What's wrong? Shrug your shoulders and forget it. Turn around and walk toward the exit passage. Lin Qingjun also stood up and said, Teacher Zhong, I have to go too. I'm going to have dinner. He came here just to see his brother, and now that his brother has finished the competition, there is no need for him to stay here. Zhong Feng was stunned. Why don't you take a look here? The fight in Wuling Realm might be of some help to you. What help is there? The mentor is gone. After saying that, he pulled Shirdi and walked out quickly. On the way, Lin Qingjun turned to look at Shirdi and asked, Sure, what do you think of my brother's talent? What level can he reach in the future? Emperor Shi thought for a moment and said, Qing's brother has decent talent and should have a good teacher to teach him, but his future is still limited. Is the future still finite? Lin Qingjun murmured softly. Just as he was thinking about all sorts of things, Shidi spoke again. However, there is a drop of the original essence of the true phoenix in his zither. If it is fully stimulated, his future achievements may be improved. Hearing this, Lin Qingjun's eyes suddenly lit up, and he stepped forward and hugged Shidi in his arms and said with a smile, Really? Then what can I do to stimulate my brother's talent? Shirdi's face turned slightly red, and after struggling for a while, he said, Brother Qing, stimulating the true phoenix's essence and blood now is tantamount to seeking death. You need to reach a certain level of strength before you can slowly unlock it. Oh, I see. Let's go eat. Qing, let me go. I don't want to. On the other side, Lin Qingyang walked into the bamboo forest and came to the small courtyard. Looking at the white-haired woman in white playing the guqin in the middle of the yard, he smiled and said, Master Luo, my disciple is back. Master Luo did not reply and concentrated on playing the piano. After a long while, the song ended and Master Luo looked up. What was the result? Lin Qingyang touched the tip of his nose and said, Of course I won. Master Luo looked into his eyes and said, Are you still doubting whether I should accept you as my disciple? Lin Qingyang nodded. He had been confused. He is just an S-level contractor. What qualifications does he have to make Master Luo accept him as a disciple? Master Luo looked at the zither in front of him and sighed. There are very few zither contract holders, and even fewer with talent. So far, you are the one with the best talent I have ever seen. And the contract is about to expire. Nor can I wait for someone with better qualifications to pass on my legacy. Contract? The contract you are talking about is... Lin Qingyang grasped the key to the information as soon as he heard it, and grasped the information in Master Luo's words. The latter shook his head, stood up and looked up at the sky, saying, Not a few years left. Lin Qingyang frowned. Then Master Luo, will you leave me? Master Luo turned around, with a faint smile on his face. I'm practicing the piano for 5 hours now. I can't stop for a moment. Ah, Master Luo, please don't. I have to go watch my brother's game later. Humph. It will be the same if we go tomorrow. At 8 o'clock in the evening, Lin Qingjun came to the ring and waited for the game to begin. Teacher Wang walked onto the stage, struck the gong and said, The first match is between Lin Qingjun and Yi Tutu. Lin Qingjun and another person jumped onto the stage, and at the same time, a person also jumped onto the opposite side. This person is about 1.6 meters tall, wearing a white fluffy coat, with a round face and small buck teeth, giving people a very cute and adorable look. But the most noteworthy thing is that there is a pair of D-level big waves hanging on the chest. Duong duong. Lin Qingjun's eyes almost popped out. Oh my, you're so short, but the material on your chest is still quite enough. When Shirdi saw Lin Qingjun's obscene smile, he turned to look at Itutu and his eyes were inexplicably filled with a hint of cold murderous intent. Itutu waved his hand, and a girl with rabbit ears appeared beside him, with a D-level weapon hanging on her chest. At the same time, her body changed and a pair of rabbit ears grew on her head. If she turns into a bunny-eared girl, she will be even cuter. Lin Qingjun smacked his lips and said, "It would be great if you could have a round and curvy figure like hers." Shirdi's legs went weak, and he almost lost his balance. He turned around and glared at him, then said, "I'll go for this one." "Hey, weren't you interested in taking action? Why are you suddenly interested in taking action?" Lin Qingjun scratched his head, somewhat puzzled. Shirdi walked towards Itutu step by step, and 18 chains appeared behind him. Whoosh whoosh he jumped towards Itutu. The latter looked around vigilantly and lightly jumped away from the chains that were rushing towards her with her toes. Yeah, at this moment, the rabbit-eared girl behind him didn't react in time, and one of her feet was tied up by a chain. Then other chains attacked and tied her up. But the way it is tied is a bit rough. Duong duong. It made the LSBS and the audience's blood boil. Great. I want to be reincarnated as this chain. Ahem. Actually, I was this chain in my previous life. Go to hell. You men are disgusting. Chapter 54. Lin Qingjun gave a thumbs up and said, "Great job. Tie up the other one quickly." Emperor Shi turned to glare at him and said, "Don't look. You care about me? If you don't let me see it, I will." Clear. Emperor Shi was so angry that he could only stamp his feet and wave his hands. Several chains hit Itutu. The latter was still pulling on the chain on the rabbit-eared girl, completely unaware of the movement behind her. Tu Ernyang sent a message to Itutu through a contract. However, Itutu was tied up before he could take a few steps. The chain was swung without mercy, and Itutu and Tu Ernyang were thrown off the ring. "Oh, it's gone? I haven't had enough of it yet," Lin Qingjun said with some pity. Shirdi clenched his small white hands, and for some unknown reason, an unknown fire was burning in his heart. Lin Qingjun won this battle. The next, Lin Qingjun and the two walked off the ring and were about to go back to their residence. But after walking a few steps, a voice sounded from the other side of the arena. "Li Taibai versus Wu Huanying." Li Taibai's? Go and have a look." When Lin Qingjun heard that Li Taibai was about to play, he stopped and pulled Shirdi towards Li Taibai's ring, came to the bottom of the ring, and watched the fight above. Li Taibai held the Luan Shangfeng in his hand, and the sword was ignited with blue and red flames, waiting for the start of the game. Oppositely, a large black python with a body length of about 10 meters appeared behind Wu Huanying. Then black scales grew on Wu Huanying's skin, and a snake's tail emerged from behind. Became a half-snake. After seeing that both of them were ready, the referee shouted loudly, "The game begins." After shouting, "Step aside," hissed Wu Huanying, and the big python neighed and pounced on Li Taibai from both sides. The latter looked around and raised the sword in his hand. The sword was in flames. "Light up the stream flowers." A sword was swung out, and the flames on the sword separated. It turned into several blue-red flame swords and was nailed around the black python. The black python had to stop moving and stared at Li Taibai with a pair of brown pupils. The latter ignored it and instead slashed towards the other side with his sword. Dang Wu Huanying crossed her arms to block the blow, but traces of blood seeped out from the gaps between the scales on his arms. It wasn't over yet. Li Taibai raised his sword and struck him again. Ding ding dang dang, Li Taibai continued his offensive, and Wu Huanying could only defend passively. Just when he couldn't defend himself, a cold wind blew from behind Li Taibai, and a big tail 2 or 3 meters thick came lashing out. Li Taibai had already sensed it and crouched down to avoid it. "Then quickly distance yourself." Wu Huanying and the black python followed closely. 2 versus 1. Alas, this is the early advantage of the beast contractor. That's right, their physical fitness in the early stage is far superior to that of other contractors, and in the later stage, they become more and more like beasts, and can even directly collide with strange beasts of the same realm. But the weapon soul contractors in the middle and late stages are different. They have many methods, unlike the beast contractors. A group of people below were discussing. Lin Qingjun looked at Li Taibai and frowned. "What is this guy doing? If you chop down a Tianhe waterfall, don't you win directly?" Now Li Taibai's strength has reached the edge of the Huagu realm, and he may not lose even if he fights with the Huagu realm. And when he thought of this, Li Taibai held the hilt of the sword with both hands, and the blue-red flames on the sword's body surged. He took a deep breath and shouted loudly, "Tianhe Waterfall!" Buzz on the sword. The flames surged and condensed into the shape of a big sword. Then he slashed towards Wu Huanying. The latter was immediately panicked when faced with such a powerful sword. Run in the opposite direction of the sword. But his speed was not as fast as Li Bai's sword-swinging speed. Just as the sword was about to hit him, the referee appeared behind him and blocked the sword. The referee took action. That means Wu Huanying cannot take the sword, which means she loses. Wu Huanying patted his chest. He instinctively sensed that he could not take the sword. The referee also took action, and the representative really couldn't take it. This time, Li Bai wins. Next time, Li Bai shrugged, took back the Luan Shangfeng, and jumped off the stage. He noticed Lin Qingjun standing in front of him. He smiled and said, "Excuse me." Lin Qingjun picked his nose and said, "You are participating in the Cocoon Realm competition, which means you can't break through. So what do you plan to do during this time?" Li Taibai yawned and said, "I'm not as idle as you. I can practice swordplay, learn sword moves, and so on. Do you want to go out and have a midnight snack?" "No, I'll go back and do it myself." After saying this, Lin Qingjun turned around and was about to leave. Li Taibai looked at the Emperor Shi beside him and smiled meaningfully. Young people should be restrained and be careful of yang deficiency. Lin Qingjun stumbled a few times. "I haven't done anything serious yet." He returned to his residence, stroking his chin in deep thought. He had a general idea of the situations of the beast contractors and the weapon soul contractors, but he could also see it. But he knew less about humanoid contractors. It just so happened that he was almost the only one in the West Courtyard. He also heard about the abilities of the humanoid contracted spirit from Zhongfeng. The humanoid contract spirit has a very fast cultivation speed, which can also be described in another way. I have contracted a super powerful person from my previous life as my mentor, and Emperor Shi was almost the same. But there is still a problem. The Time Emperor has another form, the beast form. Does that mean he can also transform into a half-orc? Moreover, the shitty beast transformation is so cute. No, it's handsome. Then, if he transforms into a half-beast, will he also become handsome? Thinking of this, he raised his head and looked at Shi Di, who was frowning beside him. "Ask a question." "Humph, I don't know." Emperor Shi snorted and turned his head away, ignoring him. Lin Qingjun's eyelids twitched a few times, and he stretched out a finger and said, "A cup of milk tea." Am I the kind of person who gets distracted by mundane things?" Lin Qingjun slowly stretched out another finger. "2 cups. 4. Qing, if you have anything, just ask me." Lin Qingjun sat up and looked at Shi Di with a smile on his face. "Are you a human or a non-human?" The Emperor said, "I am not a human. This body is a Taoist body that has taken shape for the convenience of doing things." Oh, Lin Qingjun nodded thoughtfully. In other words, Shidi is both a humanoid contract spirit and a beastly contract spirit. In that case, can I become a half-orc like the beast contractor? Shi Di shook his head. "I don't know, but I can try anyway. Do it when you think of it and act when you say it." When he arrived at the training room, Shi Di turned into a strange beast. It looks like a tiger but not a tiger, and like a wolf but not a wolf. It has lush snow-white hair and icy vertical pupils. In the eyes of cat slaves, he is the supreme god. Let's put the experiment aside. Just let me J********* for a while. Chapter 55. With a swish sound, the Emperor of Time transformed back into his human form. He looked at Lin Qingjun warily. The latter smiled and said, "Let's just start without masturbating." The Emperor of Time once again transformed into his beast form. Lin Qingjun thought about the techniques Zhong Feng taught him, took a deep breath, and silently said in his heart, "Transformation?" Then the body begins to change. A pair of cat ears sprouted from the top of his head, and his clean short hair grew directly to his waist. His skin became fair, and his pupils did not activate their lenses, but naturally turned into light blue vertical pupils. Blinking, he walked to the mirror and immediately opened his mouth. "Damn it, why have I become so white? My brother hasn't been this white since he died for 3 days. However, with his drastically changed appearance, he is also a good vest." The identity of Qing was well covered up. Moreover, I can feel that the energy in my body is much stronger than in the previous human form. Transformed back into human form, Everything changed back. Ching, milk tea, my milk tea. Sure D pulled the corner of his clothes and said, "It's already 11 o'clock. Be careful when you eat now, and you'll get fat. I'll make it for you tomorrow." The next day, Lin Qingjun came to the ring and waited for the game to start. Today he queued up late, in the last game, and he looked at the competition on the stage and lost interest after watching it for a few times. Then he squatted on the ground, picked up branches, and dug a hole. What I was thinking in my mind was that after comparing the top 5 people here, I would be competing with the 8 courtyards in the city. The so-called 8 courtyards are East, West, South, North, Northeast, Southeast, Northwest, and Southwest. When I learned the names of these hospitals, I almost burst out laughing. I have to say that the people who named them are really lazy. After the competition in the 8 courts, they went to a special place to compete with the geniuses from the other 5 cities. After winning, you will get a special reward. As for what it is, I don't know. Brother, why are you digging holes in the ground? At this time, a voice came from above. Lin Qingjun turned around and saw a gentle and elegant man. The first impression this person gives people is that he has the air of a scholar. In modern terms, he is a top student. Lin Qingjun smiled. "I'm bored. This is how to pass the time. There are many ways to pass the time. Why use this?" The man didn't know what to say for a moment. This was the first time he had ever seen someone digging holes in the ground to pass the time. Vulgar, right? Lin Qingjun chuckled and said, "It doesn't matter. To put it bluntly, my temper is not that bad." The man smiled, stretched out his hand and said, "My name is Lan Jixiao." Lin Qingjun also stretched out his hand and said, "Lin Qingjun?" But when he looked at his hands, he was a little embarrassed. Compared with the clean and white hands of the other party, his own hands were like grabbing a handful of sand, full of dirty hands. But the other party didn't dislike it, and took a step forward to hold his hand. "Nice to meet you. Your hands are nice, but I'm a bit spoiled. Haha, do you have a problem with me?" "It's okay, just getting to know each other." 10 minutes later, the two squatted on the ground, each holding a branch in their hands and digging a hole. "Brother, I have to say, this way to kill boredom is really comfortable. Hee right? But I have a question. You say, why does your name look like a girl's name?" "The name was given by my mother." The next match will be Lan Jixiao versus Zhou Wenjie. Lan Jixiao stood up, clapped her hands and said, "It's time for me to appear. Come on." Lin Qingjun shook his fist for him. Lan Jixiao jumped onto the stage and summoned the contracted spirit. It is a scroll, which is unfolded to reveal its contents. It's the blue sky and the sea a hymn. But, after waiting for a long time, no one showed up. Just when Teacher Wang was about to judge that Zhou Hanjie would lose, a little girl climbed onto the stage and bowed to Instructor Wang. "I'm sorry, Mentor. I'm late." Instructor Wang waved his hand. "Now that you are here, let's start the fight, boom." As soon as he finished speaking, a brown bear that was about 15 meters tall and had a big yellow circle on its chest appeared behind Zhou Hanjie. I always feel like there's something odd about the style of this brown bear, but I can't remember what it is. Just when the little loli was about to launch an attack, Lan Jixiao raised her hand and shouted to stop. The little girl stopped and asked in confusion, "What's the matter? You have such a high contract spirit. Why do you still need to climb up by yourself?" "Well?" Zhou Hanjie was confused. He had really forgotten about this. When you come to your senses, you are about to continue attacking. Lan Jixiao raised her hand again to stop. "What's up with you? One last question. Why is your name so masculine?" The little girl's face turned dark, and she was speechless. He raised his hand. His eyes were cold. "Circle Bear, go and beat him to death. He is really going to piss me off." Circle Bear roared, moved its huge body, and pounced towards Lan Jixiao. Below, when Lin Qingjun heard the 3 words Circle Bear, his eyes widened in surprise. "Oh my god, it's actually the Pokemon Go. How come I didn't react? This thing can also be summoned?" On the stage, Lan Jixiao was not at all panicked when faced with the charging Circle Bear. Instead, he raised his hand and waved it down with a faint smile. "The sea is limitless." Crash as the words fell. The sea behind him surged and the area of the scroll expanded. A large amount of seawater gushed out and swept towards the Circle Bear. Roar! The latter roared and slapped its claws, dispersing the seawater, but it quickly gathered again and swept towards it. Soon, Circle Bear was entangled. Zhou Hanjie waved his hand and shouted loudly, "Circle Bear, use the destructive ray quickly." Roar! Circle Bear raised his head and roared. Black light condensed in his mouth. and then shot towards the sea in front of him that was like a python. With a humming sound, a large area of seawater evaporated. Below, Lin Qingjun's mouth opened wide again. Oh no, what a damn tone. Please stop messing around, okay? This is not Pokemon's home ground. Lan Zhixiao on the stage raised her hand and waved it down again. The sea is boundless. Keep rolling for me. Circle Bear, keep using the destructive beam. The seawater and the destructive light continued to collide and rise again. Lan Zhixiao also knew that seawater would not have much effect on the Circle Bear, so use other skills. 8 anacondas of Chaos Sea, move forward. Wow, the scroll expanded again, and the seawater in the scroll was surging. 8 lifelike anacondas condensed, then turned out of the scroll and attacked the Circle Bear. Zhou Hanjia waved his hand again. Circle Bear, use the destructive ray again. Circle Bear clenched his fists, opened his mouth wide, and condensed the destructive light again to shoot towards the 8 anacondas. The 2 anacondas couldn't hold on for a few seconds before being shot through. But before it could dissipate, it was filled back by a large amount of sea water from the boundless ocean. Move. Chapter 56. Roared. 8 anacondas roared and rushed towards the Circle Bear to bite. The latter was unable to dodge and was entangled in an instant, trying to break free. But the more he struggled, the tighter the anaconda bound him. Zhou Hanjia couldn't help but feel anxious and gritted his teeth. I can't care about that now. The whole petite body began to swell up. His height suddenly soared to 3 or 4 meters. Transformed into a King Kong Barbie. No, it was a half-orc, half-bear man. She roared and jumped towards Lan Zhixiao. Her goal is clear. As long as Lan Zhixiao is dealt with, the problem will basically be solved. Lan Zhixiao noticed Zhou Hanjia's movements very early. With a wave of her hand, the anaconda that was entangled with the Circle Bear split into 2 and attacked Zhou Hanjia from one side. Hiss, 2 puffs of smoke spewed out of Zhou Hanjia's nostrils. He opened his mouth wide, and 2 balls of black energy condensed in front of his mouth. Then he suddenly shot towards the 2 anacondas. With a bang, the anaconda was directly shot to death by the black light. Then Zhou Hanjia did not delay, and continued to pounce towards Lan Zhixiao before the anaconda took shape. The latter frowned. If he were to fight head-on with the half-beast Zhou Hanjia, he would definitely be the one lying on the ground, half-dead. While his body was retreating, he was also activating the scroll for defense. The scroll floated in front of him, and the sea in the painting was surging. A large amount of red seawater gushed out from the scroll and swept over Zhou Hanjia. The latter frowned. She couldn't afford to delay any longer because the 8 anacondas behind her had recovered and were pouncing towards her. Roar! Zhou Hanjia roared and stomped forward heavily. Waves began to spread out from under her feet on the ground. A surge of air began to surge and spread in all directions. Several anacondas were blown away, and the surging sea water in the scroll was also blown away. Zhou Hanjia raised his head and continued to pounce on Lan Zhixiao. The latter had already retreated a short distance and stopped when he saw Zhou Hanjia rushing towards him. With a wave of his hand, the area of the scroll above his head expanded, and the sea water inside surged violently again. But this time it seems a little different. The sea water in the painting is rotating regularly in a counterclockwise direction. Lan Zhixiao whispered, "Whirlpool tsunami." Crash! Suddenly, a whirlpool of more than 10 meters appeared in the scroll, and then the seawater gradually emerged from the scroll and rolled towards Zhou Hanjia. The latter was also completely enraged, and raised his head and roared, "Circle Bear, use the death ray." The Circle Bear that was fighting with the anacondas in the distance suddenly shook its body, temporarily dispersing the anacondas. Then he opened his mouth wide towards the vortex, and a dark red energy gathered and shot towards Zhou Hanjia's position. The latter also opened his mouth wide, and a dark red energy gathered, then suddenly shot towards the vortex in front of him. Boom! The 3 energies collided, and a large part of the vortex was evaporated instantly, but there was no sign of reduction. Because there is a constant supply of seawater in the later scroll, it can be said to be endless. It really fits the 4 words Lan Zhixiao said before. The sea is limitless. As time went by, Zhou Hanjia couldn't bear it anymore. The dark red energy in her mouth dissipated, but before she could take a few breaths, the vortex surged over. It directly submerged Zhou Hanjia. Instructor Wang took action to break up the vortex. Lan Zhixiao wins this battle. The next one? Upon hearing that his opponent had won, Zhou Hanjia's big eyes immediately became watery, and he stared at Lan Zhixiao, as if he was about to cry in the next second. The latter felt a little uncomfortable with the look and took a few steps forward to stand in front of her, stretched out his hand and said, "Are you okay?" Zhou Hanjie slapped his hand away, trying his best to suppress the tears in his eyes and said, "My instructor said that with my ability, it would be no problem to reach the top 4. But it was you, a jerk, who stopped me at such a low point. Ranking. How can I face my mentor? You be asterisk 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 D. Lan Xiao. So it's my fault that I defeated you?" Zhou Hanjie stood up, wiped the tears from his eyes, looked at Lan Xiao with his big eyes and said, "Wait, I will definitely avenge the shame today." After saying that, he ran to the back and then rolled off the stage without paying attention. Seeing this scene, Lin Qingjun and other spectators felt ashamed. I was really afraid that the little girl would lose her balance and fall into the river when crossing the bridge. Lan Xiao jumped off the stage and came to Lin Qingjun and said with a smile, "How about I easily subdued that little Lolita?" Lin Qingjun glanced at him and said, "How dare you bully a little girl and ask how she is doing recently? I can only answer you with these few words." Lan Xiao asked in confusion, "What are those words?" "Worse than beasts." Just as the two were chatting, a woman came over, lifted her hair and asked, what are you guys talking about? Can I join in?" After a few minutes, there was still no movement. I couldn't help but look up. I saw Lin Qingjun and Lan Xiao squatting on the ground digging a hole. "Do you think we are destroying the college's public property?" Lan Xiao looked at Lin Qingjun and said. The latter waved his hands and said, "Why are you panicking?" "I'm not panicking. Why are you panicking?" I wonder if a person who started this would have any psychological burden? Would he panic because of what he did? Lin Qingjun opened his mouth wide. "Oh my God, it's true." "That?" The woman stretched out her hand, but before she could finish her words, Lin Qingjun slapped her away with his backhand. "What's your problem? You keep saying you and you all the time." When Lin Qingjun looked back, he was stunned. "Damn, why is it this woman?" This woman was none other than Yijie. The latter's eyelids twitched and he said, "You guys don't seem to like me very much." Lin Qingjun and the other man nodded. "I really don't like it. We are two men digging a hole on the ground. Why are you, a woman, joining in the fun?" "That's right, we have nothing in common with you." Yijie raised her hand and pointed to the side, saying, "Then I'll leave? Go, we won't keep you." Yijie clenched her fists so tightly that they made crackling sounds. It can be seen that he was very angry. Snore, Shirdi drank the last sip of milk tea, came to Lin Qingjun and said, "Qing, I'm done." The latter raised his head, took out a cup of milk tea from the space ring, and handed it to her. "You're really slow at drinking. You've been drinking since 6 in the morning, and you've only just finished 1 cup now?" Emperor Shi ignored him and continued drinking. Yijie looked at the milk tea in Shirdi's hand, smelled the tempting aroma, and couldn't help swallowing. He came behind Lin Qingjun, patted his shoulder and said, "Can you buy me some milk tea? I can buy it with real money." Lin Qingjun looked up and frowned when he saw that it was Yijie. "Didn't you say you were leaving? Why aren't you leaving yet? Also, milk tea is not for sale. If you have too much money and don't know where to spend it, you can just spend it on the sky." Chapter 57. Yijie's eyelids kept twitching and her chest kept rising and falling. Obviously, he was very angry again. "Why are you like this? Can you find a girlfriend if you are so straight?" Lin Qingjun looked up at her. Then he clapped his hands, stood up, looked at Shirdi and said, "Sure, come here and let me hug you." Shirdi walked over with the milk tea in his hand and was held in his arms. Lin Qingjun raised his eyebrows towards Yijie. "In the past, I might have considered the bloodline of my Lin family, but after all, I have a brother, so it's not my turn to inherit the bloodline. But now, I'm completely don't worry about it." Hearing this, Shirdi's delicate little face couldn't help but turn slightly red. "What does this mean?" "You will know what it means if you think about it a little." The emperor raised his head and looked at Lin Qingjun behind him, frowning. "Does Qing regard me as your forbidden fruit?" The latter waved his hand and said with a smile, "Do you see that I have grounded you? Have I ever forced you? No, you are just a contracted spirit and cannot leave me. If you don't have a contract, I won't let you go anywhere." "Where to?" Shirdi blinked, lowered her head, and continued to drink her milk tea. Only she knew what she was thinking. Yijie looked at the two of them and was immediately speechless. Seeing Lin Qingjun stamping his feet, he said, "I originally thought that the masked man was the person I hated the most in my life, but today, you are the person I hate more than him. Let's meet on stage. I will definitely make you bow your head and apologize to me." After saying that, he turned and left. She came here just to make friends with Lin Qingjun and Lan Jixiao. His elders in the family said that if he could make some true friends, he would not be so clueless when encountering troubles in the future. But what happened? I was so angry as soon as I walked in. Lin Qingjun shrugged and continued to squat on the ground, digging a hole with a branch. Lan Jixiao said, "Why don't you just apologize? I'm not sure I can beat you, Jia. Do you think I can? What's there to be unsure of? Don't worry." Half an hour later, Lin Qingjun versus Kai Chi. Instructor Wang said loudly while standing on the stage. Hearing this, Lin Qingjun stood up, patted his head, and jumped onto the stage with Shitty. The other party also jumped onto the stage. He was a handsome young man with dark green hair. Teacher Wang waved his hand and said, "The competition begins," then jumped aside. Lin Qingjun clenched his fists, and the joints all over his body made sounds, while his crystal eyes activated. Quick battle, quick decision. I am too hungry now. On the opposite side, Kai Chi summoned his contracted spirit. It is several bundles of bamboo strips. The bamboo strips are quickly interwoven and finally become a close-fitting bamboo armor. Looking at Lin Qingjun warily, the latter activated the power of time and space, took a few steps forward, and then suddenly disappeared. When he appeared again, he was already behind Kai Chi. A sideways kick went upward, straight toward his head. Just when he was about to be kicked, the bamboo armor on Kai Chi's body grew to one side and woven into a bamboo shield. Boom. Snap. He kicked the bamboo shield and it broke into pieces. Although the loud noise caused brief tinnitus in Kai Chi's ears, it did not cause much harm to him. Kai Chi reacted quickly, turned around and threw a punch. But when I turned around, I found there was not a single hair. Just as he looked up, something suddenly pulled his ankle. He fell directly forward. Just as he was about to hit the ground, a foot appeared in front of him. Kick him away directly. It hit the ground not far away. Lin Qingjun appeared and sat on him, saying, "Admit defeat, or I'll beat you to death." Kai Chi chuckled a few times. The ground trembled slightly, and countless bamboo sticks suddenly jumped out from the ground, then intertwined and trapped the two people inside. "You've fallen into my trap. Even if you can teleport. So what? It won't be long before the entire ring becomes my trap." Lin Qingjun looked up and saw sharp bamboo sticks all around ready to strike. He lowered his head and smiled. "This is your ultimate move, right? Besides, I don't think it will last long. You'd better admit defeat first." Kai Chi snorted softly, and his entire body was wrapped tightly by the bamboo strips. The fact is, just as Lin Qingjun said, the consumption of such a large-scale skill is far beyond what he can afford at the Hogyoku realm. It is usually used after the prey is trapped. It is also enough to defeat opponents of the same level. And this kind of skill is really unsolvable for most people at the same level. However, as for Lin Qingjun, that is another matter. The space next to him distorted, and Shidi walked out. Lin Qingjun stood up and hugged Emperor Shi and hid in time and space. This is the awesomeness of the ability of time and space. A space hiding directly in time, not affected by the outside world. Lin Qingjun couldn't sustain this kind of moves for long, because every minute and every second of hiding in time and space consumes the power of time and space. With his ability, he can only stay in time and space for 1 minute. You have to get out in a minute. If you wait until the power of time and space is exhausted but haven't gotten out yet, the surrounding time and space will move, and you can be teleported to the back or future at will. As for the Time Emperor, she is a member of the sacred beast race of time and space, and is born with the power of time and space. No creature can surpass them in their use of time and space. Although hiding in time and space will consume the power of time and space, it is consumed very slowly, and it is fine to hide in it for a day. Outside, the entire arena had been blocked by bamboo sticks, turning into a cage. Inside the bamboo cage, thorny bamboo strips emerged. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. These spiked bamboo sticks shot out violently. It shot onto the surface of the ring and broke it open directly. And so on, and so on. Half a minute passed. It ended in a hurry. The bamboo strips turned into shadows and merged into Kai Chi's contract mark. Kai Chi staggered to his feet, looking at the arena full of holes all around him with a trace of doubt. Where are the people? Why are they gone? He looked at Teacher Wang and asked, "Teacher, did you save him?" Teacher Wang shrugged and indicated that he did not take any action. "I didn't make any move. Did I shoot you into pieces?" Just as he finished saying this, Lin Qingjun and Shidi walked out of time and space and kicked him away. "Of course I dodged it. How could I be shot into pieces? If I were shot into pieces, there would be blood stains." Kai Chi fell down, then stood up suddenly, looking at Lin Qingjun with an incredible expression. You, how did you do that? Even a person who has reached the third level of the solidification realm might not be able to dodge this move of mine. Lin Qingjun smiled contemptuously and said, Haha, my strength cannot be described by common sense. Are you going to admit defeat? If not, I will beat you up. Kaichi smiled awkwardly. No, referee, I admit defeat. Ding! Instructor Wang struck the gong and began to announce the winners and losers. This time, Lin Qingjun wins. Next time, Lin Qingjun stretched lazily and walked off the stage with Emperor Sure. Run towards the cafeteria. Oh, come on, eat, come on. If you don't eat on time, you're not a good eater. Chapter 58. Then, 10 days passed. The competition among various levels within the academy has reached the quarterfinals. This day is a special stage. Although it is the quarterfinals, there is one more person. Therefore, a drawing ceremony is held, and the person who draws the special lot will advance directly. Teacher Wang knocked the gong on the stage and said, Now we will start the lottery. Lin Qingjun immediately raised his hand and said, Teacher Wang, I'll do it. I will definitely draw the red lottery. Don't you have any manners yet? Teacher Wang glared at him, then looked at the list in his hand and said, Draw lots in order. The first one is, Lin Qingjun. The latter jumped onto the stage with a strange smile. What did I say? Let me draw first. It's the same if we draw in order. As he said this, he reached into the box and fumbled around for a while. I took my hand out and saw that it was a white signature. Damn, your face is so dark. Then he walked away with a depressed look on his face. Teacher Wang looked at Lin Qingjun's back, his eyelids twitching constantly. Why is this boy so jumpy? Next one, Lan Zhixiao. I'll go up first. Lan Zhixiao greeted him and jumped onto the stage. Lin Qingjun still looked depressed and puzzled. My luck is strangely good, isn't it? Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Lan Zhixiao drew the red ticket and automatically advanced to the next round. Just when Lin Qingjun was feeling depressed and puzzled, Teacher Wang's voice rang in his ears like the most annoying voice. Lan Zhixiao jumped off the stage, came to his side, picked up a branch and dug a hole and said with a smile, You are lucky, you don't draw at 3 o'clock, but you draw a red ticket at the first draw, and you advance directly? Lin Qingjun was stunned and turned to look. From what you said, you play the lottery every day? Lan Zhixiao nodded, then shook her head. Not exactly. I only play the kind of entertainment lottery, not the money lottery. Oh. Just as he was about to say something, Teacher Wang's voice rang out again. Today's first match is between Lin Qingjun and Ren Dong. Damn, I'm the first one? Are you kidding? Lin Qingjun stood up cursing and jumped onto the stage with Sure D. On the opposite side, Ren Dong also jumped onto the stage. The other person was a strong man with his upper body naked. She has a well-proportioned figure and neat abdominal muscles, and is more beautiful than those handsome guys. Ren Dong clenched his fists, which collided with each other with a dull sound, and grinned at Lin Qingjun and the other man. My contracted spirit is an SS-level weapon spirit. Ling Hua Ring. What is your contracted spirit, kid? Lin Qingjun sneered and raised his hand to rub Sure D's ice-blue hair. Isn't this nonsense? This is my contracted spirit. Humanoid, beautiful. Aren't you envious? Sure D frowned but did not raise his hand to swat it away. Although he was not used to it, it was not so annoying. There was even a slight strange feeling. Wipe. Ren Dong and the crowd watching from the audience were cursing Lin Qingjun in their hearts for being so shameless. Especially for male compatriots, their hearts felt as if being stabbed by thousands of knives. It hurt so much. At the same time, he looked up at the sky and wailed, Oh my God, why didn't you arrange such a beautiful contract spirit for me? Compared with male students, female students are much better. Looking at Lin Qingjun's figure, I feel a little bit infatuated with him. Sisters, do you feel that Lin Qingjun becomes more and more handsome the more you look at him? You don't get tired of him yet. Kaysure, I feel the same way. I envy the contracted spirit next to him. I can see this handsome boy every day. Bang. Ren Dong clenched his fist and said with a smile, Boy, let's fight. Let me see if you can take my punch after making it this far. Stop. Just when he was about to move, Lin Qingjun raised his hand and shouted to stop. Ren Dong stopped and asked in confusion, Are you going to do something tricky? At that time, I had one thing unclear. You say, why aren't you wearing your school uniform? And why are you walking around outside with your bare chest? Your clothes are not in compliance. Have you adjusted them? Rendong. F asterisk asterisk K. I really want to kill you. Am I going to get close to you with or without clothes on? Lin Qingjun shook his head. No, it wasn't coming near me. It was coming near my eyes. It was really too spicy. Rendong's forehead was bulging with veins. What's wrong with you? If you have the guts, take it off too. Take it off if you want. I'm not afraid of you. As he said this, he actually put his hands on his clothes and prepared to take them off. But when the clothes were rolled up a little bit, several chains emerged and tied him up like a dumpling. Shirdi walked up to him, stepped on his face, and looked at him with contempt. How could I sign a master-servant contract with such a person without any sense of shame? Lin Qingjun raised his head and smiled. Ahem, well, let me go, I was just joking. The emperor sure snorted softly, and with a flick of his hand, he was thrown out. Lin Qingjun fell to the ground, stood up and brushed off the dust. Whoosh, just then, a heat wave swept in. Without even thinking, Lin Qingjun used the power of time and space and disappeared. And just a few seconds after he disappeared, a fist carrying red blood hit Lin Qingjun's nose where he disappeared. Rendong looked at Lin Qingjun standing aside and said with a smile, Your reaction speed is very fast, even I can't match you. Very good. Such opponents are the ones you will be a decent opponent in the future. The latter twisted his neck and said, Normally, generally, I can only barely predict what you are going to do in the next few seconds. Roar. Rendong's eyes focused, and the fire ring behind him and above his head suddenly burned with hot flames. Immediately afterwards, his entire body was on fire, and he ran towards Lin Qingjun with a wild laugh on his face. In just a few breaths, he was in front of him and punched him hard with a clenched fist. Lin Qingjun activated the power of time and space and flashed to Rendong's side. He raised his foot and kicked directly. But who would have known that Rendong had such an amazing reaction time? He turned around and was kicked. With a bang, the two men collided and flew backwards. They each retreated a few meters before stopping. When Rendong sensed Lin Qingjun's aura, he was stunned. You are only at the first level of the solidification realm? Yeah, what's wrong? I'm a genius. Isn't it reasonable for me to surpass you? F asterisk asterisk K. You're talking like I'm not a genius. Try my punch. Having said that, Rendong jumped directly into the air. The flames on the fire wheel behind him suddenly increased. The flames on his arms also surged. Then boom boom, two punches were thrown down. Two balls of flames wrapped in fist power quickly smashed towards him. Linghua double fists. Hee hee, how is it? Do you feel that you can't resist? Bullshit. What kind of crappy name is this? It has no value at all. As he spoke, he used the power of time and space to disappear from the spot, then appeared not far away. Chapter 59. The two fireballs wrapped in fist power smashed into the ground with a bang. The arena cracked into several pieces, but fortunately the arena was big enough. Otherwise it would have been destroyed. The flames on Rendong's body were boiling as he pounced towards Lin Qingjun. The latter did not engage in a head-on confrontation, but flexibly used the power of time and space to launch a sneak attack. But Rendong's reaction was not slow at all. As soon as Lin Qingjun appeared and launched the attack, he was noticed by the other party. In this way, the two of them exchanged no less than dozens of moves. Damn it, no one of us can do anything to anyone like this, right? Lin Qingjun laughed while hiding in the distance. Pooh, Rendong Chao spat a mouthful of thick phlegm on the ground and said, So, what do you want? Lin Qingjun laughed a few times. Of course we should make a quick decision. How about we both use our strongest moves? Rendong nodded. Okay, but do you have the strongest move? Keep dodging. Lin Qingjun raised his head and chest when he heard this. How? Will it be possible, but give him to me now. Swish, just after he finished shouting, dozens of chains suddenly appeared around Rendong and blocked him. When he saw the chains, Rendong knew he had fallen into a trap. While cursing in his heart, he launched his most powerful move. He raised his head and roared. Sky-high fire ring, void war god. The flames on the fire ring above his head behind him surged again. Then the flames on Rendong's body were also absorbed by the fire ring. Soon, the ring of fire soared to a whole new height. Then a burly figure was reflected in the ring of fire. And this figure was condensed by the flames on the fire ring and gradually solidified. Drink it. Rendong raised his head and shouted again. His muscles swelled. He raised his fist and punched at the chains in front of him. The shadow of the god of war behind him followed his movements and raised his fist to punch the chain. Soon, The giant fist collided with several chains. But the next second, a scene that shocked Lin Qingjun happened. Those chains were actually repelled. Ever since Emperor Shi took action, this chain has been invincible, and basically anyone who comes into contact with it will be entangled for a while. But this is the first time I've seen someone being directly repelled. Rendong chuckled. That's it? I've already beaten him before. And when he was about to throw another punch, he found that he couldn't lift his other fist. I turned my head and saw several chains wrapped around the left arm of the God of War's phantom. What? When did it get entangled? He struggled hard, but his arm didn't move at all. At this time, other chains also wrapped around him and tied him up. Seeing this scene, Lin Qingjun put his hands on his hips and laughed strangely. Hee, you are trapped. Admit defeat. You have already escaped from my grasp. Rendong groaned and continued to struggle. But after just a few minutes, the shadow of the God of War behind him began to fade away. Rendong also lost his temper and sighed. K. This chain really defeats me. Teacher Wang, I give up. Ding. Instructor Wang stepped forward, knocked on the gong, and said, this time, Lin Qingjun wins. The next one will be Yi Jia versus... The Emperor took back the chains, and Lin Qingjun stepped forward and laughed. Can you please stop smiling so evilly? Rendong said speechlessly. Lin Qingjun smiled faintly and shook his head. What do you know? This is called the attitude of a winner. K. I'm speechless. Rendong shook his head and sighed. I originally thought I could advance to the top 2, but I met you. Sigh, I can only fight for the reserve spot. Don't worry. With your ability, you will definitely get the first place in the reserve list. If you can't comfort, don't comfort. The two chatted for a while, and then left. Jump off the stage and walk towards the residence. Lan Zhixiao stood up and said, don't you want to watch other people fight? We are already in the quarterfinals. Lin Qingjun waved his hand and said with a smile, no, the battle just now gave me signs of a breakthrough. I have to go back and break through. Lan Zhixiao shrugged and didn't stop him. Every breakthrough is crucial, and some people will even start the breakthrough right there, regardless of the noise or threat of movement. There is no way. Practicing is easy, but breaking through is difficult. Through cultivation, one absorbs the energy from the inner elixir of strange beasts, as well as the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. In the civilization of cultivating immortals, it is called aura, and in modern science, it is simply called energy. So I was a little confused at first, whether to call it energy or aura. Now, considering some things in the later stage, it is better to call it aura. Return to your residence and close the door tightly. He shook the space ring and only shook out dozens of exotic beast inner cores, which were from first-level monsters. If the inner elixir is not enough, just take out the Dragon Balls. He looked at Shitty and nodded. Let's get started. The latter looked at him, hesitated for a moment and said, Qing, you are a little dependent on me. Why do I rely on you? Do you mean to deal with Rendong? I only asked you to do it because I really had no way to deal with him. Lin Qingjun scratched his head, somewhat confused. Emperor Shi lowered his head and thought for a while before saying, anyway, Qing's performance was very bad. He didn't even have the courage to fight head-on. Oh, if I had a strong physique like Rendong, I would definitely fight him fist to fist, but I don't, and I don't even have any means of attack, so I can only use this unplayful method. Shitty was once again silenced. Although she was the empress of a race, she had never taught a single beast in the race, not even a single living creature. His way of preaching is not as good as Lin Qingjun, who has watched the entire Naruto series. Okay, let's start practicing first, raise our realm, and then we can talk about improving our combat power. At this time, Lin Qingjun spoke up and interrupted the silence. Emperor Shi raised his head and nodded, then knelt down and began to absorb the spiritual energy of the inner elixir and Dragon Balls bit by bit. Lin Qingjun closed his eyes and controlled the spiritual energy to flow through every corner of his body. Finally moved to the eyes to nourish the crystal eyes. Time passes by little. 2 o'clock in the morning. Lin Qingjun slowly opened his light blue eyes, which flickered a few times before retreating. Let out a breath. I finally made a breakthrough. This breakthrough has brought me a lot of achievements. Lin Qingjun stood up, stretched his waist, looked at Shitty and said, it's already 2 o'clock in the evening. Isn't it time to go to bed? The latter couldn't help but take a few steps back, his eyes somewhat evasive. Qingxiang, what do you want to do? Lin Qingjun grabbed her wrist and pulled her into his arms, laughing strangely. What? Of course I'll hold you while sleeping. You smell so good and are so soft. Who else should I hold if not you? And one more thing, I won't do anything to you. I really mean it. Shirdi had his back to Lin Qingjun, his face slightly red, and his head lowered as low as it could go. Chapter 60. The next day, I came to the ring and waited for the game to begin. Yoho, Lan Zhixiao jumped out next to Lin Qingjun and shouted. Lin Qingjun turned his head and looked at him, not frightened at all. Lan Zhixiao shook her head. You are such a person. Others can't make fun of you, but you can make fun of others. Huh, have you made a breakthrough? Yes, a breakthrough. Lin Qingjun nodded, but his eyes were closed and his hands were clasped together and shaking continuously. Seeing his strange behavior, Lan Zhixiao couldn't help but ask, what are you doing? Of course I pray that I can draw a red ticket and not have to compete. Can you do this? I don't know. I heard that shortening your p*** by 5 centimeters can be successful. Roll. Ding ding ding, Teacher Wang knocked on the gong and said, let's start drawing lots. When your name is called, touch it until you draw a red lot. The first one is Lin. Stop. Before he could finish his words, he was interrupted by Lin Qingjun. Teacher, I think I should be ranked second, so let someone else go first. Teacher Wang glanced at him and said, did I say you would be the first one to draw the lot? It's true. The first one is Lin Liangxian. At this time, a young man jumped onto the stage, reached his hand into the lottery bucket, fumbled for a while, and pulled his hand out. Blank sign. Next one, Lin Qingjun. Gaga, what did I say? I'm the second one, and God is on my side. Teacher Wang knocked on the gong and said, hurry up, come up and draw lots and get down after you're done. Wait a minute. Lin Qingjun raised his hand and said anxiously, wait a minute, wait a minute. He closed his eyes and put his hands together, saying, Umitba. I wish that land's little p*** will be shortened by 10 centimeters so that I can win the red lottery. I won't play with you like this. If you shorten it by 10 centimeters, I won't be happy. Lan Zhixiao was so anxious that she hung on Lin Qingjun, trying to stop him. It would be fine if he didn't win the lottery, but if he did, wouldn't that mean he would really be 10 centimeters shorter? Lin Qingjun drew the red ticket and automatically advanced to the next round. At this time, a voice sounded from the ring. Lin Qingjun and Lan Zhixiao were both stunned and couldn't help but look up. A thin chain tied a mahogany stick in mid-air. And you don't have to guess who this thin chain belongs to. The two of them turned to look at Empress beside them. The latter snorted. What a hassle. It would be better for me to do it myself. Wow, this way of praying is really awesome. It really works. Lin Qingjun smiled. Lan Zhixiao ran out at this time and hid in an empty corner. Then I opened the crotch and took a look, and felt relieved when I found that it was not short. Lin Qingjun looked at the red sign and thought in his heart, should I stay here and observe the others? Or should I just go back to my residence and do nothing? He couldn't help but turn his head to look at Shirdi and said, sure, do you plan to go back or stay outside? The latter looked down at him and said, go back, I'm not used to it here. Lin Qingjun smiled and said, okay, let's go. As he said this, he placed his hands on Shirdi's shoulders and pushed her towards her residence. At this time, Lan Zhixiao had just walked out of the grove and saw Lin Qingjun pushing Shirdi away. I couldn't help but ask, where are you going? The semifinals, the next game is the finals to determine the top 5. Can't you watch more? What if you can't handle the game tomorrow? Hearing this, Lin Qingjun stopped. Indeed, he can ignore the matches outside the top 8 and deal with them calmly, but what about the opponent in the final? It was difficult for him to deal with Randong alone, not to mention those opponents who were almost as strong as him. Shirdi turned his head and looked into Lin Qingjun's eyes and said, the opponent will not completely expose his true cards. What you see and know is only the situation where the opponent tries to restrain himself. You can't tell anything. You just have to go there and experience it yourself. Lin Qingjun scratched his head and said, but there is a saying that goes, knowing yourself and your enemy means you will win every battle. But Qing, do you know how long it takes to know both yourself and your enemy? At least half a month. Oh, that makes sense. Let's go back to our residence and play. After saying this, he took Shirdi away. Behind him, Lan Zhixiao stretched out his hand and scratched his head. What they said makes a lot of sense. Forget it, I'll just stay here. He is not as open-minded as Lin Qingjun. After returning to his residence, Lin Qingjun sat on the sofa and pondered. After a long while, he looked at Shirdi and said, sure, what you said last night makes some sense. I am indeed a little bit sick, but I don't have any attacking skills. Do you have any martial arts skills? Emperor nodded and said, Yes, there are many. My clan travels through time and space to protect the order of time and space. We have seen a lot and gained a lot. The martial arts are countless. Lin Qingjun was delighted when he saw this. You have martial arts? Then give me a set of boxing that suits me. I don't want cool ones. I want handsome ones. I don't want fancy ones. I want sexy ones. I don't want to kill people. I want to cheat people. Emperor sure shook his head. There is no such thing as sinister, cunning, disgusting, and despicable. Then give me a set that suits me. Shirdi closed his eyes and opened them after a while and said, I found it. It's quite suitable for you. As she spoke, she passed a boxing technique to Lin Qingjun through the contract link. The latter closed his eyes and comprehended for a while before opening them. Wow, this boxing style is pretty good. It gets stronger and stronger. What's its name? Shirdi shook his head. I remembered too many things and forgot what the boxing style was called. Lin Qingjun scratched his head and shook his head. Then I'll give you one, called Mingxin, which is especially suitable for this boxing style. As he was about to go to the yard to practice boxing, he was stopped by Shirdi. He turned around and asked in confusion, What's the matter? Shirdi looked up and looked into his eyes. I'm hungry. I don't want milk tea. I'm a little tired of it. Then I'll make you some yogurt. It's sour and sweet when frozen, and it tastes really good. Half an hour later, Lin Qingjun was standing in the yard practicing boxing. Shirdi sat on the side sipping his milk tea, giving him instructions from time to time. As time went by, the day passed quickly. The next day, Lin Qingjun brought Shirdi to the ring, waiting for the game to start. At this time, Lan Jixiao came over and said, You came early. Also, you don't know how exciting yesterday was. The might was almost as powerful as the fight in the breaking solid realm. Lin Qingjun nodded. Then today should be the day for the battle to break through the solid state realm. Sure, you shouldn't miss it today. At that time, the duel will basically take place in the next few days. The first match, Lin Qingjun versus Chapter 61. The next match will be between Lin Qingjun and Guo Shuanghan. Instructor Wang knocked on the gong and said, Lin Qingjun was stunned and couldn't help but said, Instructor, there are 5 of us, shouldn't we be drawing lots? Instructor Wang said, We have considered this before. After careful consideration and improvement, we finally decided to exclude the person with the strongest superficial strength and realm level, and let the 4 of you start to compare. Finally, let him compare with the third one. Comparison of 2 names. If he wins the second place, then compare with the first place. Oh, when he said this, everyone in the audience understood. Then Teacher Wang, what if we can't even beat him to second place? Then let him have a fight with the third place. If he can't beat the third place, let him have a fight with the fourth place. Then go on stage. Instructor Wang obviously knew very well what Lin Qingjun was going to say next second, so he blocked his escape route. But who knew that Lin Qingjun raised his hand again and said, Then, why am I not the one excluded? Instructor Wang's eyelids twitched a few times. First of all, your level is a hurdle. Which one of the top 4 is not at a higher level than you? Mentor, I suspect you have realm discrimination, but I have no evidence. Come up quickly, otherwise you will be abandoned. When Lin Qingjun heard this, he didn't say anything and immediately jumped onto the ring. On the opposite side, Guo Shuanghan has been waiting for a long time. Behind him, a green scorpion with a body length of more than 16 meters made an impatient squeaking sound. Hey, let me go. This scorpion is so handsome. Lin Qingjun grinned. Guo Shuanghan smiled. Your contract spirit is also very beautiful. Wen, please tie up that scorpion for me. My fists suddenly felt itchy and I wanted to punch someone. Lin Qingjun said eagerly. The Emperor of Time nodded slightly, waved his hand, and several chains appeared behind him, stepping into time and space to directly attack the green shoes. Guo Shuanghan looked at Scorpion, who was suddenly caught in a fight, and smiled bitterly. I've seen you fight a few times, and almost no one can escape from this chain. I didn't expect that my tail needle Scorpion wouldn't be able to escape either. It will probably be tied up in just a few strokes. Well, what next? Lin Qingjun nodded in agreement. Among the same level, almost no one can escape the chains of the Emperor of Time. Even an opponent with a higher realm can be trapped for a while, but the lethality is a bit weak. Then, Guo Shuanghan smiled, and green armor quickly formed on his body, protecting his vitals, joints, and other parts. Of course I will defeat you before I am under your control. As soon as he finished speaking, he stepped forward and jumped out, and the place where he was stepped on shattered into countless pieces of gravel. Guo Shuanghan was very fast. In just a few breaths, he was in front of Lin Qingjun and punched him. The latter's eyes widened, and the power of time and space in his body was quickly activated. Before his fist fell, he disappeared directly and appeared on the side. Ha ha! He brought down his fist with a powerful punching wind. Lin Qingjun raised his hand and touched his right cheek, feeling a little painful. While I was shocked, I felt that I should not underestimate anyone. Oh, it's so fast. Guo Shuanghan rubbed his fists and smiled. Lin Qingjun spat out a mouthful of thick phlegm on the ground. You are also very fast. Now, I want to get serious. As soon as he finished speaking, he disappeared again and appeared in front of Guo Shuanghan. He raised his left fist and hit him directly in the face. Guo Shuanghan raised his arms and crossed his arms to block it. But he also took a step back. It wasn't over yet. Lin Qingjun landed several punches in a row, but they were all blocked by Guo Shuanghan. Suddenly, he looked up and grinned. Lin Qingjun frowned slightly when he saw this. But the next second, a sharp pain came from the right waist. The whole person flew backwards. He fell to the ground and took a breath. Damn, it hurt so much. When he stood up, Guo Shuanghan was already nearby. Throw down several punches in succession. Directly change from active to passive. As time went by, Guo Shuanghan gradually discovered that something was wrong with Lin Qingjun. Just defense from the beginning. I used to fight back from time to time, and now I can barely fight back. Why are you hitting me harder and harder? Lin Qingjun had a pair of light blue eyes, which gave off a fierce aura. Haha, you don't understand. I am actually the reincarnation of the god of war. The more I fight, the more powerful I become. F***ku, I don't believe it. Guo Shuanghan roared, and his attack became more fierce. Lin Qingjun became passive again. His eyes flashed, and he activated the power of time and space to dodge to the side, then threw a punch. But Guo Shuanghan's reaction ability was also not weak. He raised his fist and punched back. Just as he threw his next punch, Lin Qingjun disappeared. Then he appeared on one side and attacked him. Guo Shuanghan turned around and collided with his fist again, and when he was about to throw the next punch, Lin Qingjun disappeared again. Then he appeared behind him and punched again. Guo Shuanghan reacted and punched behind him. With a bang, Guo Shuanghan thought that Lin Qingjun would teleport away, so he took half a step back. But who knew that Lin Qingjun did not teleport away, but punched him again. He was unable to dodge and was knocked away. He flew backwards several meters and fell heavily to the ground. He raised half of his head, pointed at Lin Qingjun and cursed, "Are you cheating?" Lin Qingjun picked his nose and said, "You are not serious in your mind, blame me." When Guo Shuanghan got up and was about to chase after him and hammer him, he heard a weak creaking sound from behind. I couldn't help but look back. I saw the scorpion lying on the ground weakly. Let those chains entangle it. Seeing this scene, Guo Shuanghan couldn't help but open his mouth wide. Not really. You should at least give me some pride and let me last a little longer. Gaga, Lin Qingjun walked over with a strange smile. Admit defeat. It's a waste of time to continue fighting. Alas, hearing this, Guo Shuanghan sighed. The green armor on his body dissipated, and he looked at Instructor Wang and said, "I give up." Ding! Instructor Wang struck the gong and shouted, "This time, Lin Qingjun wins." Next, Lan Zhixiao will face Hogyoku. Lin Qingjun jumped off the stage and said to Lan Zhixiao, who was squatting on the ground digging a hole, "It's your turn. I didn't expect you to make it to the top 4. Why can't I enter? I'm not afraid of anyone else here except Jie, and you, okay?" Lan Zhixiao pointed at her nose and said proudly, "Tisk, we'll know after we have a fight. Also, you have to win this one first. TSK, who are you looking down on? I am also one of the top 4 experts after all." Then he jumped onto the stage. The other side also jumped up. Chapter 62. Hogyoku jumped onto the stage. She is a little Lolita in school uniform, with extremely eye-catching white and pink hair. In the audience, Lin Qingjun was stunned when he saw this little Lolita. Why is it a Loli again? Is Lan's luck with Lolita booming? Do I meet Lolita every day? Qing, are you envious? Empress said quietly at the side. Lin Qingjun turned his head and smiled at her. You're overthinking. Loli is not my favorite. In my eyes, Loli is just a kid of 11 or 12 years old. And, look at that little Loli, my breasts are bigger than yours. I don't know where all the fat you have gained has gone. The emperor couldn't help but look at Hogyoku, then look down at his own. She was completely defeated with a score of 2 o'clock. Suddenly, the whole person turned into a stone sculpture, standing motionless in the same place. Even a little girl of 11 or 12 years old could defeat her in seconds. Where is the face? On the stage, Lan Zhixiao waved his hand, and a scroll appeared behind him, automatically spreading out to reveal the magnificent sea on the scroll. He smiled faintly and raised his hand, signaling Koduir to summon the contracted spirit. The latter snorted lightly, raised her hand and touched her right waist, and a pink-sheathed Miao knife appeared on her right waist. She drew out her Miao Dao. The more than 1 meter-long sword was almost as tall as she was. Her small face had an extremely serious expression. This scene seems a little funny and cute. This makes the Miao Dao appear even longer than its original length. You're too short. Even a knife is longer than you. Shut up. I'm going to beat you to death. The little girl was furious. She took the knife in her right hand and chopped it down with the sword. The knife was surrounded by pink energy, making it even more powerful. Lan Zhixiao did not dare to hesitate when facing this knife. He raised his hand, and the scroll behind him expanded. The sea water in the scroll surged and rolled, and then a column of water gushed out to block him. At this time, Kodoer's knife also came in front of him and chopped on the water column with a bang. Wow, the water column 1 or 2 meters wide was directly split into 2 halves. Koduir passed through the water column before it healed. When I looked up, I saw that Lan Zhixiao had run a long distance away without me noticing. He just smiled faintly. Hey, I know your knife is very sharp, so I came up with this skill overnight. As he spoke, he clasped his hands together, then slowly opened them. Cover the sky prison. The scroll behind him expanded to 15 meters, and the sea in the scroll began to surge. Then 8 or 9 water columns rose up and landed around Kodoer. The latter swung his long sword horizontally and went straight through. But without thinking too much, he jumped directly into the sky. And long before this, the 9 water columns around her spread out into smaller water columns to block the top. It really became a cage. Kodoer's eyes fixed, and he slashed upwards with his knife. He also went straight through. He fell to the ground, looked at the surroundings, and fell into deep thought. I looked at the gaps around me. They seemed big, but I couldn't get through. He reached out and touched the water column. The water flow was very fast, and if she went in completely, she would be washed away. What a disgusting skill. Koduir looked at Lan Zhixiao with gritted teeth. Alas, you can't say that. The latter waved his hand and said, if this skill is considered disgusting, then Lin is the most disgusting one. Hey, the one with the surname Lan. I heard it clearly. What does it mean to be naughty? Lin Qingjun said indignantly with his fist raised in the audience. Lan Zhixiao turned around and smiled. I'm talking about Mr. Lin. Your name is Mr. Lin? Damn it. Everyone listen to me. Lan is just a stuffy S***T. On the surface, he looks gentle and refined, like a scholar, but in fact, he is more disgusting than anyone else. Note, don't say that the protagonist of a book is like a gangster or a hooligan. The protagonist is a rural worker in modern society. In addition, he was also a nitpicker on the internet. The prototype is formed, and the character of the protagonist will change in the middle and late stages. Hearing Lin Qingjun's words, everyone in the audience let out an "oh" sound. This made Lan Zhixiao feel embarrassed and speechless. Could this guy be a genius now? He wanted to fight back, but found that he seemed no match for Lin Qingjun. I could just shut up and suffer in silence. Looking at Koduir in the covering sky prison vigilantly, he knew that such a cage would not be able to hold Koduir for long. Raise your hand. 8 anacondas appeared above the sea in the scroll behind him. When 8 anacondas come together, 2 dragons stir up trouble in the sea. In the scroll, 8 anacondas entangled with each other, then merged into 2, becoming 2 dragons that made a fuss in the sea for a while, and then all dived out of the scroll. 2 lifelike dragons poked their heads out of the scroll, shook their heads, and then slowly flew towards Kodoer. The 2 dragons were flying in 2 different directions. When it got close, it opened its mouth wide, roared, and pounced forward fiercely. Kodoer looked at the 2 dragons coming towards him to bite him. The serious little face was filled with solemnity. Just as the 2 dragons came close, she suddenly jumped up. The 2 dragons seemed to have anticipated this and turned around, one swooping upwards and the other to the right. Kodoer suddenly had an idea. He brought his body together, held the tip of the Miao Dao, and dropped it straight down into the dragon's mouth. The dragon looked confused until it shut up. There was no swallowing movement at all. It just slid in directly. It's even more gentle than Rejoice. Suddenly, a pink-white light burst out where the dragon's body touched the ground. With a loud bang, The dragon turned into rain that fell to the ground. At this moment, Kodoer's aura changed drastically, with white light emitting from his pupils, and his aura was 1 or 2 points stronger than before. Any drop of rain would evaporate if it came within a centimeter of her body. Roar! A dragon twisted its body behind her. He opened his mouth full of fangs and bit towards Kodoer. The latter raised his right hand holding the Miao Dao, turned around and swung it. With a buzzing sound, it was split into 2 halves, and then turned into sea water and fell to the ground. Kodoer turned around and looked at Lan Zhixiao, walking towards him step by step. The latter's eyelids couldn't help but twitch when he saw this scene. What the hell? You've been standing still for so long. It turns out you're holding back on your ultimate move. While he was thinking, Kodoer had already arrived in front of a sea pillar covering the sky prison. He stepped out with his legs and stepped on the sea pillars. Hissed. Lan Zhixiao couldn't help but take a breath. Because a gap was created in the sea column. The most important thing is that despite Kodoer's size, he was not blown away by the strong current in the sea column. It seemed that Kodoer was about to walk out from the sea pillar. After thinking for a while, Lan Zhixiao waved his hand and removed the covering of the sky prison. I give up. Clang. Chapter 63. Instructor Wang took a step forward and struck the gong. A sound wave that brings peace of mind spreads. Kodoer was shocked, the white light in his eyes disappeared, and he returned to normal. Before she could express her doubts, Instructor Wang said, this time, Kodoer won. The next match will be between Lin Qingjun and Kodoer. It will be held at 5 p.m. Okay, let's end it. After hearing what Instructor Wang said, Kodoer breathed a sigh of relief. She was afraid that even if she used her ultimate move, she would not be able to win the game. When I jumped off the stage, I saw Lin Qingjun standing not far away. He walked over, looked up at him and said, I look forward to fighting you tonight. What are you expecting? You will definitely be the loser. Before Lin Qingjun could say anything, a voice came from behind that made him run away. She turned her head and found that Lan Zhixiao had appeared behind her at some point, looking at her with a faint smile on her face. He couldn't help but frown and said, You, a defeated general, dare to talk about me? Lan Zhixiao smiled and said, I just don't dare to fight you head-on. In fact, I still have many moves that I haven't tried out yet. Also, if you reveal your true strength too early, you might not be able to win the 8 colleges competition later. If you can't find your advantage, or even lose, you won't be able to participate in the 5 cities competition. Listening to Lan Zhixiao's words, she felt inexplicably angry. But I have to say that Lan Zhixiao is right. Now that her true strength has been exposed, she will be in a passive position in the 8 colleges and 5 cities competition. But it would be too embarrassing to apologize to this guy just like that. So he snorted and raised his head. So, you haven't shown your true strength yet in fighting me? How much hidden strength do you have that you haven't used yet? Lan Zhixiao smiled faintly when she heard this, put her hands behind her back, walked around her and said, I have 3 times more dragons than what you see. 3 times more than what we saw. Aren't there 6? Are you raising loaches across the way? When Lin Qingjun heard this, he couldn't help but speak. I can feel that if I face 4 of them, I will be completely entangled, let alone 6. Moreover, it can be concluded that summoning 2 dragons consumed a lot of Lan Zhixiao's physical strength and spiritual energy. If all 6 come out at the same time, won't Lan Zhixiao be squeezed dry? Ahem, well, my limit is 6 and I can only release 4 to fight. Seeing that both of them looked shocked, Lan Zhixiao knew at a glance that they had misunderstood and could not help but cough a few times. F***K, what the hell are you yelling about? You really scared me. Lin Qingjun punched him and cursed with a smile. Alas, I can't hit it. Lan Zhixiao dodged it easily, then ran to the side to avoid Lin Qingjun's punch. After chatting for a while, Lin Qingjun took Shi back to his residence. Standing in the yard, waving his fists and practicing the Mengshan fist. In one day, he only practiced this martial art to the point where he could see the threshold. But it's not far from the entrance. 2 hours later, a punch was thrown and the fallen leaves in front were swept out of the yard. Lin Qingjun's aura continued to rise, and had already reached the limit of this realm. Stand still, close your eyes and take a few deep breaths. Then he slowly opened his eyes. After 5 or 6 hours, I finally got started. He couldn't help but look at the Emperor Shi who was standing beside him and asked, What level is this boxing technique? The latter shook his head. I forgot. It should be not low. And this boxing method is both a martial art and a magical power. It is a martial art in the early stage and a great magical power in the later stage. Oh, it's okay as long as it's not bad. When they arrived in front of the ring, they squatted on the ground and dug holes as a way to pass the time. What's the difference between squatting on the ground and digging a hole like this and a puppy that gets excited when it sees mud and sand? At this moment, a very discordant voice came into Lin Qingjun's ears. The branch in the latter's hand broke with a snap. He turned his head sharply and almost couldn't hold back when he saw the man's fist, which was bigger than a sandbag. Damn it. I thought it was some blind person looking for trouble, but it turned out to be you, Xiao Bai. That's right, the person who came was Li Bai. The latter smiled and said, the people in our realm group are finished. I defeated them all by myself. Oh, I was just about to ask you if you don't look down on others, but you responded by saying you overthrew them all. That's awesome, he said with a thumbs up. No, my realm is already the 3rd level of the cocoon realm. If you don't suppress me, I can break through even if I stand still. There is such a great man? How come I, Lon, don't know about him? Lan Zhixiao appeared behind them and asked in confusion. Hello, my name is Lan Zhixiao. Li Taibai smiled and said, how strange that you don't know me. I am Li Taibai, the #1 in the Jingu realm competition area. Oh, after you said that, I really remember this person. The first person in the cocoon solid realm who swept the entire area with a sword. I was wondering how he could be so powerful. It turns out that he was stuck in the cocoon solid realm and couldn't break through, so he bullied others. Where are the children? Haha, if I break through to the Huagu realm, what use will there be for me, Li Taibai? I might as well be the #1 in the Jingu realm. Okay, I'm the first person to achieve the solid realm. Lin Qingjun pushed the 2 of them over and said shamelessly. Haha, I think you can barely handle Yijia, let alone be the first one. Lan Zhixiao pointed at Yijia, who was not far away, and said, Hee, just watch me. I will stand on the stage and crush her tomorrow. Ding, ding, ding. At this time, Instructor Wang stood on the stage, knocked the gong and said, this time, Lin Qingjun will fight against Ko Duier. Lin Qingjun and Shi Di jumped onto the stage. Ko Duier also jumped onto the stage and summoned the pink Miao Dao. My contracted spirit is an S+ grade peach seedling. Well, stop talking nonsense and start fighting. After Lin Qingjun finished speaking, he disappeared from the spot and reappeared on the left side of Ko Duier. A punch was thrown violently. Click, a pink scabbard blocked the punch. Ko Duier drew his sword and slashed, but it went straight through. Lin Qingjun disappeared again. Suddenly, there was a sound of wind breaking through the air from the right. Without thinking, he slashed down to the right. Lin Qingjun directly caught the blade with his bare hands. Then he raised his foot and kicked Ko Duier directly in the stomach. She was kicked away, and her Miao Dao was taken away. Lin Qingjun looked at the Miao Dao and found it quite nice. But I didn't think of using it. If the owner of a contracted spirit who is not an instrument soul uses the contracted spirit, he will suffer backlash. Ko Duier stood up, holding his stomach, his little face full of disbelief. My knife was taken away from me? Lin Qingjun held the back of the knife, looked at Ko Duier and said with a smile, if you admit defeat, I won't hit you. I don't have the hobby of being gentle with women. Hey, you actually bully a little girl? You are worse than an animal. Lan Zhixiao shouted from the audience. Chapter 64. I'm calling you sister. You're talking like you're such a gentleman, you beast in human clothing. If you say that again, I'll push you to the ground and rub you. Lin Qingjun looked at Lan Zhixiao with disdain. The latter curled his lips and stopped talking. There is no other way. If we continue to argue with each other, we will be the only ones who lose. Just admit defeat. You're in the top 3 anyway. And there are no rewards for this competition. There are only rewards for the 8 colleges competition and the 5 cities competition. There's no point in exposing your cards here. Lin Qingjun stood in front of Ko Duier and continued to persuade her to change her negative thoughts. Ko Duier fought the 2 thoughts against each other for a while, and finally she nodded. I give up. Then, the little Lolita who was extremely serious about everything she did eventually became a little Lolita who only knew how to do her best because of Lin's constant installation of negative thoughts. Lin Qingjun smiled and threw the knife back to Ko Duier. Then he walked off the stage leisurely with his hands behind his head. In fact, Lin Qingjun had stacked several layers of Mengshun fist buffs on himself before coming here. That's why he could snatch the knife from Ko Duier so easily. He came in front of Mr. Lon and raised his eyebrows as if asking for a beating. See? The powerful enemy who defeated you was easily defeated by me. Gaga. Lan Zhixiao looked unhappy and cursed. I muttered to myself, this guy has a really good mouth. Ding. Instructor Wang stood in the center of the ring, struck the gong, and shouted loudly. Lin Qingjun wins this round. Since both sides have not consumed much energy, we can start the next round. Yijie versus Ko Duier will start in 10 minutes. After saying that, Teacher Wang went off the stage to drink water. Lin Qingjun and the other two were squatting on the ground, digging a hole. Li Taibai looked at him and asked, "Do you plan to keep your trump card or try to get first place?" Lin Qingjun sighed. "If I don't take first place, Fatty Zhong will definitely find a way to make my life difficult in the academy." Without waiting for Li Bai to speak, a fist as big as half a casserole hit Lin Qingjun on the head. "Good boy, you can slander me when I'm not around, right?" Zhong Feng appeared behind him at some point, with a smile on his face. "It hurts, it hurts, it hurts so much. How can a teacher hit a student? This is immoral, irrational, and incorrect," Lin Qingjun said while holding his head. "Oh, is it moral to slander your mentor behind his back?" Qian Hongjie and 3 others came to the corridor and said with a smile. Lin Qingjun curled his lips and said, "Am I slandering my mentor? I'm being honest." Before he could finish his words, Teacher Zhong punched him again. "Now you are the only one missing. Our class 2 has basically finished the competition. So, how are your grades?" Lin Qingjun held his head with both hands, raised his head slightly, and asked. Luo Penghao smiled and said, "I advanced to 4th place." When Mengda said, "I joined the reserve team." TSK. Garbage. Every bit of it is garbage. Lin Qingjun raised his hand and pointed at his classmates, saying with a face that deserved a beating, "I am the first now. As long as there is one more match. No, maybe even without a match, I can still stay in the first place." "Damn, so awesome? How long have you been in the solidification realm, and you can sit firmly at the top of this realm?" The 4 of them looked shocked and unbelievable. At this time, Yijie came over with confident steps not far away. Just when she was about to speak, she was blocked by a figure. "What is your purpose here?" Emperor Shi looked at her in front of him and said indifferently, "If you are here to make a statement, you can leave now." Yijie frowned as she looked at the young girl whose appearance was far better than hers. She really came here to say something harsh. And in his heart, he was a little jealous of Shi Di, jealous of how beautiful this woman was. However, as a genius, she would not become jealous and hateful just because the other person is prettier than herself. Yijie opened her mouth and finally said a few words. "Tell him, see you on stage." Emperor Shi snorted and ignored the woman. 10 minutes passed quickly. Ding! Instructor Wang struck the gong again and said loudly, 10 minutes have passed. Please invite the 2 contestants to the stage." Yijie jumped onto the stage with great confidence. Ko Duier also jumped onto the stage. Just at the beginning, Ko Duier raised his hand and said, I give up." Brush. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone present was dumbfounded. Admit defeat? Just admit defeat like that? Is this the outrageous opening of the door to outrageousness? Is this outrageous to the extreme? No, this is not outrageous. It should be outrageous in speechless way, sloppy and speechless. Below the stage, Lin Qingjun and others looked at each other with their mouths slightly open. Then they all gave Lin Qingjun a thumbs up. "Did you open her Ran and do meridians? She was so perfunctory in the finals?" Lin Qingjun smiled and raised his hands in the air. "Don't look at me with such a shocked expression, or I will get proud. Tiske, I think it's a 4-legged yellow creature that sticks out its tongue and pant and wags its tail when it sees its master wave his hand at it." Lan Zhixiao rolled her eyes and said with great disdain. Li Bai nodded in agreement. The sausage was placed in the bowl, and it wagged its tail nonstop, drooling all over the floor. It lowered its head and barked twice to please the owner. Yu Yunlong and the other 3 couldn't help but open their mouths wide when they looked at the 2 of them. I don't mention asterisk in every sentence, and I can't stop talking about star. Is this the world of scholars? Lin Qingjun looked at these bad friends and couldn't help but clench his fists until they made a crackling sound. Why are these guys so irritating? On the stage, Yijie came back to her senses, looked at Lin Qingjun and said, "Let's go to the ring and compete. The loser will apologize to the other party." The latter jumped onto the stage and said with a smile, "It seems that you didn't do anything that required you to apologize to me, so how come you are the one apologizing to the other party?" When the people in the audience saw this scene, it seemed like they had watermelon to eat. Yijie frowned and said, "What do you want me to do? I can do it as long as it is within my tolerance." "Sure." Hearing this, Lin Qingjun looked at her in surprise. Yijie suddenly felt uncomfortable at the way Lin Qingjun was looking at her. "Of course, Yijie, always keep my word and never lie." Well then. Lin Qingjun smiled evilly, pointed his index finger at the sky, and said, I want you to take out the money you can afford and throw it into the sky. I have never seen a rich second-generation woman throwing money into the sky. Hearing this, Yi Jie's face darkened. People always say, if you have too much money and don't know where to spend it, you can just scatter it into the sky. So you said this because you have never seen a rich second-generation woman do it? Besides, if I take out the money I can afford, isn't it just my monthly pocket money? If I spend the money I can afford, won't I have to eat dirt this month? Chapter 65. Yi Jie waved her hand, and Jingwei appeared above her head. She raised her chin slightly and said calmly, Let's have a fight first. After saying this, her body turned into a half-orc, not much different from the Jingwei above her head. A pair of hands turned into wings, and large feathers grew on the body. Then he flew side by side with Jingwei. Lin Qingjun clenched his fist, shook his head, looked at Yi Jie in the air and said, It's good to be able to fly. Humph, stop talking nonsense and take my move. Yi Jie snorted coldly, and she and Jingwei flapped their wings forward at the same time. 6 balls of light gathered together and smashed towards Lin Qingjun with a few swish sounds. The latter snorted. A large amount of spatial force gathered in his hands, and then he raised them and twisted them counterclockwise towards the 6 balls of light that were falling towards him in the air. Then a magical scene unfolded before everyone's eyes. Somehow, the 6 balls of light moved backwards little by little, returned to the starting point, and then disappeared. Everyone who saw this scene opened their mouths in shock. Yi Jie stared with her eyes wide open. She had seen everything that had just happened. Such means are a bit too shocking. Directly reverse the skills that have already been activated? Moreover, if the spiritual energy used to cast the 6 light balls has not been recovered, it would be equivalent to wasting the spiritual energy. Time! Someone murmured in a low voice, and then suddenly burst out, It's time! Lin Qingjun can actually master the power of time. Time? Isn't it space? No. If the flow of objects backwards is not time, then what is it? Lin Qingjun on the ring was looking at his hands. The move I just used was a skill that Shirdi had just taught me. It's a bit strong, but it has a time limit and consumes a lot of energy. He turned his head and looked at Shirdi, saying, Help me? The latter nodded slightly, stepped forward with his little feet, and 18 chains emerged behind him and then rushed into time and space. Lin Qingjun took a step forward and then suddenly jumped up. The power of time and space was activated again, and he flashed to Yi Jie's side. He threw a punch. Feel the airflow and the sound of breaking air coming from one side. Yi Jie suddenly came back to her senses. The Jingwei beside him spread his wings, and an invisible force pulled Yi Jie into his arms. Then a wing rose up to block the punch. But the power of this punch was beyond its expectations, and the two were knocked away by one punch. Jingwei held Yi Jie tightly in her arms and almost beat her from the center of the ring to the edge. After stopping, Yi Jie stuck her head out. I saw large pieces of feathers falling off Jingwei's wings. He couldn't help feeling distressed, but at the same time he was shocked by the power of Lin Qingjun's fist. Is this really the only damage that can be inflicted by a humanoid contractor? Even a beast-type contracted spirit would find it difficult to break through Jingwei's defense. Suddenly, she had a bad feeling in her heart and looked up. Lin Qingjun in front disappeared. He immediately ordered Jingwei to fly. Ding dong! At this moment, Lin Qingjun appeared behind her, stepped on the chain, raised his foot, and kicked sideways. Yi Jie sang, and suddenly several colorful stones appeared and surrounded her and Jingwei. Greatly increased defense. Boom! At this time, Lin Qingjun also kicked up. Yi Jie was kicked away again. But this time, with the 5 colored stones to improve defense, the injury was not serious. On the stage, Emperor Shi looked at the colorful stones with his eyes flickering a few times. Send a message to Lin Qingjun through the contract. It is said that the Jingwei clan has her bloodline. I didn't expect it to be true. Lin Qingjun was stunned when he heard this. This Jingwei bloodline was just an impure bloodline. Could it be that there was another bloodline hidden in this Jingwei bloodline? Thinking of this, I couldn't help but ask who she was. Emperor Shi hesitated for a moment and said, Qing may not have heard of her. Her name is Hua Huang. Hua Huang, this name. Lin Qingjun couldn't help but twitch his lips after hearing this name. Could it be that Nuwa, the one who created humans? Huh, Qing actually knows her name? This person is no weaker than me at my peak. The corners of Lin Qingjun's mouth twitched a few times, and he muttered in his heart, if Nuwa has done anything wrong, then this world we live in could be the primitive world. but he shook his head, thinking that they were all truly powerful people, not something he could imagine. The most important thing is to deal with Yijie in front of us. At this moment, Yijie, who was not far away, had already recovered. The body is surrounded by 12 colorful stones. Each of the 5 colored stones exudes considerable power. Yijie shouted sternly, "Take my move. If you can take it, I will admit defeat." After saying this, the 12 colorful stones immediately started to work. It smashed towards Lin Qingjun at an extremely fast speed. The power of time and space in the latter's body was activated. Teleport to the side and step on the chain that just appeared. Just when he thought he had dodged it so easily, he suddenly felt an indescribable pain in his left shoulder and was knocked away. I suddenly realized that this guy has a tracking function. Lin Qingjun, who was falling to the ground, cursed in a low voice. Damn it, I knew it wouldn't be easy to dodge. I was wondering why Yijie, that be ***sich, would say such a thing. He turned over and stepped on the chains beneath him. The right hand was placed on the left shoulder, and there was a click. He groaned and his facial muscles twitched a few times. When he turned his head, he saw that 11 colorful stones were already close to him, while the other one disappeared after hitting his body. Lin Qingjun frowned, and the power of time and space quickly flashed back and forth between the colorful stones. After a while, the Emperor of Time raised his head and said through the contract, "Qing, don't hide in confusion. These are not ordinary spiritual energies and will not dissipate over time." Lin Qingjun's eyes flickered a few times and he replied, "Knock it down. What happened?" "With your fists. Damn, wouldn't it hurt like hell if you were hit by this stone?" The reason why that set of boxing techniques becomes more powerful as the fight goes on is because it can use pain, excitement, anger, and other emotions or perceptions to transform them into powerful boxing power to propel the fight forward. Lin Qingjun was silent for a while, then sighed. "You talk too much. I'll listen to you." As he spoke, he dodged to a multicolored stone and threw a punch. With a loud bang, the colorful stone exploded and Lin Qingjun was also blown away. Chains appeared and held him up. Lin Qingjun clenched his fists and wailed silently. "But it is indeed more advanced than before, even though it hurts." Then rushed towards the next moment. 1, 2, 3. One after another was blown up. Lin Qingjun's fists caused the skin on his arms to break, the muscles to tear, and the bones to vibrate. It hurt so much that he didn't want it. However, the violent energy in his heart made him extremely dizzy. It's like G addiction. On the stage, Shirdi watched him quietly. She had something else to say. The knowledge accumulated from each battle using this boxing technique would be permanently retained a little bit at a time, and physical fitness would also be improved with each confrontation. In other words, the more you use it, the larger the battle will be, and the stronger it will be in the end. It can even evolve into supernatural powers. With just a thought, it can be transformed into the most powerful state without the need for repeated battle. Accumulation. Chapter 66. Emperor sure looked at Lin Qingjun in the sky, his icy blue pupils flickering continuously. "Raise your hand and wave." A chain appeared under the feet of Lin Qingjun, who was falling. The latter stood firmly on the chain. His hands were drooping, bleeding continuously, his body hanging limply. His bangs covered most of his face. Sweat was pouring down his face. His mouth opened and closed. He breathed in the air greedily. Yijie was above his head, looking at him, raising her hand to stop the last and strongest multicolored stone. I couldn't help but say, "Just admit defeat. You are very strong. Relying on the realm of just entering the second stage of the solidification realm, you can take my strongest move. I have to say that your talent is better than mine. But you can't take this last colorful stone, so admit defeat." Before Lin Qingjun could speak, the Emperor below said first, "No need to admit defeat, Qing. I can take it." "You." Yijie frowned, looked down at Shirdi, and said, "How can you be so cruel, woman? He is so injured and exhausted. How can he possibly take it? And you are his contracted spirit, right? As a contracted spirit, shouldn't you be thinking about your master? Why did you harm him like this? Could it be that you want to kill your master, cancel the contract, and regain your freedom?" Shirdi's eyes narrowed. She didn't like the word contracted spirit. She took a step forward and flicked her sleeves. "I do want to be free, but I will never resort to such despicable means. Besides, I have my own reasons for doing things." Hee. At this time, Lin Qingjun in the sky grinned a few times. "Sure, you're right. I can take this broken stone. You, are unreasonable. You are so exhausted now. How can you possibly take this? Lin Qingjun stood up with some difficulty, smiled faintly at Yi Jia, who was above his head, and said, "If you are a man, don't hesitate. Just hit me directly, man. I can take it." Yi Jia looked down at him from the air, the corners of her eyes twitching a few times. "Who said you are a man? I am a woman." "Bah, a woman. A woman." However, although he had a grudge against Lin Qingjun, it was only a verbal grudge, and he did not go to the point of beating him up or even killing him the first time he saw him. Besides, they are all students aged 17 or 19, so they won't make any big noise. After struggling with her thoughts for a while, Yi Jia let out a sigh of relief. He waved his hand and said, "Since you insist on taking it, then I'll let you take it." As his hand swung, the colorful stone shot out with a whoosh. Lin Qingjun opened his mouth and took a long breath. Then he used his calves to exert force and jumped out with a bang. Go straight towards the colorful stone. Under the ring, people like Li Taibai who were close to Lin Qingjun couldn't help but feel worried. Yu Yunlong looked worried. "I say, Mr. Lin is exhausted, and his two hands are in such a state. How dare you go up?" Qian Hongjia nodded. Yes, and at that time, Emperor Wu was a little too cruel. Usually, Lin Qingjun held her in his arms for fear of breaking her, but he didn't expect that at this critical moment, he went on. "Haha, have you ever heard a saying?" Lan Zhixiao smiled and looked at them and said. Luo Penghao was puzzled. "What?" Lan Zhixiao patted the dust off his hands and said, "If a person is not ruthless, he cannot stand firm. Haven't you noticed? Lin has always been an ordinary person. Although it's a bit childish and exaggerated, he's a little cheap, a little rude, a little lascivious, but no matter what, he's just an ordinary person." When Mengda and others were stunned, they really hadn't thought about this problem. "You mean?" Lan Zhixiao nodded. "That's right. How can an ordinary person be worthy of the word genius?" Li Bai looked at him in surprise. "I didn't expect that you know him so well after just a few days of contact with him." Lan Zhixiao smiled faintly and spread her hands. "It's not that I understand him. It's that he clearly reveals everything on the surface. As long as you think about it for a while, you will figure it out." Qian Hongjia and the other three were stunned again. Indeed, they would know what was going on if they thought about it. Li Taibai looked at Lin Qingjun, who had just jumped towards the colorful stone in the air, and was silent for a while, then said, "Well, but you also said that apart from what he showed on the surface, his inner self is probably his weakest point. But this place, let's not touch it." He turned his head and looked at the others and said, "Since he showed us the surface, it means he is intentionally hiding that place." Everyone nodded. Behind him, Zhong Feng looked at these students, and the fat on his face twitched a few times. "Hey, how old are these guys? They have already learned to be considerate of others." Boom. At this moment, a loud noise was heard in the sky. Lin Qingjun punched the colorful stone, and the colorful stone exploded. Then he fell down slowly. He stepped on the chains and glanced at the Emperor Shi below from the corner of his eye. Then he looked up at Yi Jia above his head and grinned. "You are defeated?" Then he became completely exhausted and fell backwards. Yi Jia was stunned, and the Jingwei behind him flapped its wings and flew towards him quickly. On the stage, Emperor Shi also moved. Step forward, jump onto the chain, and then jump again into time and space. He instantly appeared beside Lin Qingjun, stretched out his arms to hug him, activated the power of time and space, appeared on the ground a little bit, and then slowly descended to the ground. These movements were very quick. Before Yi Jia flew down far, Shi Di had already carried Lin Qingjun to the ground. He braked suddenly, withdrew his hand awkwardly, then raised it and said, "Teacher Wang, I give up." Ding! Instructor Wang jumped onto the stage, struck the gong and shouted, "In the final round, Lin Qingjun won. Keep the first place, boom." Pa 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 below the stage. The crowd of onlookers burst into deafening applause. Lin Qingjun lay in Shidi's arms, smelling her fragrance, and said with a smile, "I thought you would let me fall to the ground." The emperor was speechless. He just helped him up and walked towards his residence step by step. On the stage, Instructor Wang continued, "Next, I will announce the ranking of the top 5. Second place, Yi Jia. Third place, Ko Doer. Fourth place, Lan Zhixiao. Fifth place, Haran Coffee." When Mengda looked at the two people's backs as they walked away and said, "Should we go and help? Carry Lin back." Lan Zhixiao glanced at him and shook her head. "You kid, why should we interfere with other people's world of two?" "That's right." Lin Qingjun was carried by Shi Di on one hand and walked forward. "Can you carry me on your back?" It's uncomfortable to carry like this. I can't carry it. How is that possible? I'm only about 115. Emperor sure. Chapter 67. Why do I feel a fire burning inside? As a man, is it really okay to be so light? Emperor sure exhaled lightly and carried Lin Qingjun on his back. Just as she opened her mouth to say something, behind him, Lin Qingjun tilted his head and fell into a deep sleep. He opened his mouth, then finally closed it and walked forward silently. Shurdi carried Lin Qingjun all the way to the courtyard of his residence and stopped, because there was a person standing at the gate of the courtyard in front of him, and this person is none other than Lin Qingjun. He stepped forward, made room and said, "Take good care of my brother. If I find out that you tried to murder my brother just to kill the master and break the contract to gain freedom, don't blame me for being rude. Even if you were stronger than me, I will do the same. We'll take action." Shurdi did not reply and walked inside on his own. It was as if what Lin Qingjun had just said was just a joke in her ears. Just listen to it, and it's no wonder it's true. I don't know how much time had passed. Lin Qingjun slowly opened his eyes. Holding Muramo's head with one hand, he exhaled and said, my whole body hurts so much. Oh, I'm hungry." As soon as he stood up, he was pushed down by a hand. Shitty sat beside him, holding him down with one hand and said, "Don't move if you are injured." Lin Qingjun smiled, "But I'm hungry." Suddenly, his eyes rolled a few times and he said, "How about you feed me?" "What?" Shurdi's cheeks were suddenly flushed with a faint blush, and he turned his head away without saying a word. "I don't care. I don't care. You don't feed me, and you don't let me get up. I'll starve to death." When Lin Qingjun saw her like this, the corners of his mouth slowly curled up, and he tilted his head and started to act like a rogue. Shurdi exhaled lightly, calmed his pounding heart, nodded and said, "Yes." After saying that, he took out a portion of heated rice. 15 minutes later, Shurdi put Lin Qingjun's head on his thigh, used a spoon to scoop up a spoonful of rice, and put it into his mouth. Lin Qingjun closed his eyes with a look of enjoyment, waiting for Shurdi to feed him. However, when the spoon was about to be put into Lin Qingjun's mouth, Shurdi's hand moved for some reason. Suddenly, he shook to the side. Insert directly into Lin Qingjun's nostrils. Shurdi's hand trembled instinctively, and tiny beads of sweat covered his smooth forehead. Lin Qingjun's facial muscles stiffened, and he slowly opened his eyes. "I say, are you trying to suffocate me to death with this rice?" A look of panic appeared on the Emperor Shi's delicate face. He looked around anxiously and couldn't help but take the spoon down under Lin Qingjun's gaze. Then he used his long and slender little finger to dig out the rice from his nostrils. Then she sat upright, looking exactly like a little girl who had done something wrong and was waiting to be scolded by her parents. Although I don't know why I did this, I suddenly felt a sense of crisis in my heart, and I needed to deal with it as soon as possible to avoid being scolded. Alas, Lin Qingjun sighed slightly, raised his eyes and looked at Emperor Shi above him and said, "Am I that scary? Didn't I just accidentally stuff a spoonful of rice into my nostrils? Is it necessary to scare you like this? After all, you are the queen of a tribe." The latter shook his head, pursed his lips and said, "No, I'm afraid of the Qing." "Oh," Lin Qingjun raised his eyebrows. "What's the reason why you are like this?" Shurdi's pretty face was a little red, and she was silent for a while before she said, "Actually, I used to be disciplined by the eldest sister in the clan. Once my third sister and I made any mistakes, the eldest sister would severely criticize or discipline us. And the look I saw in Qing's eyes just now made me think it was the eldest sister." Lin Qingjun couldn't help but twitch the corner of his mouth a few times when he heard this. "Good guy," he said. Why the Emperor of Time suddenly changed. It turned out to be this reason. It seems that Emperor Shi was also a poor child who was severely disciplined by his parents. "Haha, sure. We have been together for so many days. Don't you even know what kind of person I am?" Emperor Shi nodded. "I know. So relax. No matter how big a mistake you make, I will tolerate you." Lin Qingjun opened his mouth and said, "Come and feed me. My hands and shoulders hurt terribly. After dinner, you will rub it for me." "Qing, don't be too pushy. It's so sad, so sad." 3 days later at noon, because of the healing medicine sent by Teacher Zhong, my body recovered quite quickly. In just 3 days, she was already feeling better. Today is the day to go to the 8th Academy competition. Ding ding ding, a loud phone ringing rang, waking up Lin Qingjun from his deep sleep. He got up and picked up his phone and looked at it. It was Lan Jixiao calling. Then he hung up without thinking. Then he turned over and put the cat-like Emperor of Time into his arms and fell asleep. But not long after, the phone received another call. Lin Qingjun got up impatiently and hung up the phone again. Outside, a group of people gathered in the college square, all of whom were going to the 8th college competition, and each of them had an expression of impatience on their faces. I said, "Why aren't you leaving? It's already noon. There's no need to waste time here, right?" Someone spoke, and his words resonated with others, and they all started talking. Faced with this situation, the leading instructor was also Instructor Zhong. He cleared his throat and said, "Wait a little longer. There is still one less person to go. We are a collective and are the representatives of our West College. We will go out later to fight for glory for our West College. We are not talking about right and wrong here. People in the outer courtyard will only laugh at us if they see us." Instructor Zhong's words were extremely effective, and the restless students calmed down. Instructor Zhong exhaled secretly when he saw that this scene seemed familiar. Fortunately, it was solved. "And why doesn't Lin Qingjun, a weakling, come? Are you deliberately playing tricks on us?" On the other side, Lan Zhixiao and others, as well as several people from Wagajing, gathered around. Li Taibai said, "How is it?" "What did he say?" "Haha, it took a long time before there was any movement after the call was made, and it was still hanging up." Lan Zhixiao had a helpless expression on her face. "Damn it, is this kid suffering from kidney failure due to excessive exercise? This possibility cannot be ruled out. So what should we do next?" "Nonsense. Of course you guys have to make a call. I'm probably going to be blacklisted." The others nodded, and Li Taibai took out his mobile phone and made a call first. Do-do-do, in the corner of Lin Qingjun's bedroom, a phone rang. Damn it, didn't I block him? Why can I still call him? He stood up and picked up the phone. When he looked at it, he found that it was Li Taibai calling. "Ha," he smiled lightly and shook his head. "Just hang up the phone and block the person." Throwing the phone away again, he curled his lips and said lightly, "Are you disturbing my sleep?" "Haha, I'm just talking nonsense." Chapter 68. Li Taibai looked at the hung-up phone screen in silence for a while before speaking. "Not bad. At least the hang-up time was reduced by half." Luo Penghao waved his hand and said, "Yeah, keep going, keep arguing with him until he is no longer sleepy." Li Taibai nodded and dialed Lin Qingjun's cell phone number, but soon he heard that he was blocked. "I almost couldn't help but throw my phone when I heard the sound. F***K. You blocked me." Luo Penghao patted him on the shoulder and said, "You are such a rubbish. You still have to rely on me." As he said that, he took out his cell phone and dialed Lin Qingjun's number. However, a voice message came directly saying that he had been blocked. F***K. I lost so completely. Got the next one. As a result, almost no one here made it through. Several people looked at each other. What should I do? I've been blocked. What else can we do? We can just find someone to fight with. If he doesn't come, he will definitely be pinned to the ground by that young man by Teacher Zhong. That won't work. I guess passers-by will be blocked without any need to fight back. So what should we do? Hey, don't you remember that Lin Qingjun has a brother? Maybe he can get through. What did you say? Lin Qingyun turned around and asked in confusion. My brother is still sleeping in, and we are waiting for him? Oh my God. Without saying much, he called Lin Qingjun. Lin Qingjun, who was sleeping soundly in his residence, heard the phone ring again and couldn't help but wail. Who is it again? Are you going to let me sleep? Ran got up from the bed again, picked up the phone and saw that it was a message from his brother. Hello, what are you calling about? It's Saturday. Can you please let me have a good sleep? Lin Qingyun's voice came out from the other side slowly. Ahem. Do you know what day it is today? It's not Saturday. Not Saturday? How can that be? The date is written right here. Lin Qingjun frowned and looked at the Saturday on his phone. Lin Qingyun's heavy breathing could be heard from the other side. Obviously, he was very angry. Today is the day for the 6th Academy competition. Can't you learn a lesson? What? The day of the 6th Academy competition? F***K. No one reminded me. F***C. Haha, all your friends and classmates called you one by one. But not only did you not answer, you also blocked them all. You are really something. Hee sorry. I thought it was Saturday and these guys pulled me out to play. Wait a minute. I'll be over now. Lin Qingjun hung up the phone, then pulled Shitty up, quickly brushed his teeth and washed his face, activated the power of time and space, and appeared directly in front of Lin Qingyun. The latter nodded when he saw his brother appear. It's okay as long as he's here. After saying that, he walked towards Teacher Zhong. Lin Qingjun turned around and faced Li Taibai and the others and said with a smile, Sorry, I was sleepy. In fact, the power of time and space can travel back to the initial gathering place. But the Emperor of Time has warned him not to travel to the past timeline permanently. Because there can only be one Lin Qingjun on the same timeline, and the person who comes from the future cannot stay forever, nor can he replace that self and stay. Otherwise, time and space will be in chaos, and the sacred beasts of time and space, the guardians of time and space, will appear to intercept or kill. PSK, you slept well, but we have been waiting for you here for the whole morning. You are amazing. That's right, just tell us how you're going to compensate us. Just when Lin Qingjun was about to speak, Teacher Zhong shouted from behind. Now that everyone is here, let's go to the competition venue. Teacher Lu Xining has been waiting outside for a long time. After saying that, he led the students inside and outside. There is a time difference between the outside and inside of the college. A week inside the college is only equivalent to 1 day outside. So they waited here for half a day, which was equivalent to a few hours outside. So it didn't take much time. Lin Qingjun listened to the students around him talking about how they wanted to strangle the late student to death, and he couldn't help but whistle guiltily. At this time, Lan Zhixiao's people surrounded him and said with a sly smile, "You don't want them to know that you were the one who didn't come and made them wait for the whole morning." Lin Qingjun's chrysanthemum instinctively tightened, and he stammered, "Please ask this Mr. Lan, Mr. Luo, Mr. Wan, and Mr. Li to calm down and talk nicely." I was so angry that my chrysanthemum couldn't stand it. Lan Zhixiao smiled and said, "Okay, as long as you can make due compensation, we won't say a word." "Yes, not a word. Don't mention your sister." Lin Qingjun's eyelids twitched a few times and said, "Okay, isn't it just compensation? I'll just give you some compensation. I'll cover all your expenses on the trip to the 8th hospital this time." "Really? I actually really want this to be a fake." "Okay, that's settled. Guys, let's go meet someone tonight." "Yes, that's what I meant." Watching how a few people easily reached an agreement to clink glasses in the evening, it was as if they were happily using my money to have fun. F***K. A beautiful plant. Lin Qingjun secretly touched his pocket. "Well, it's reasonable to forget to bring your wallet when you're in a hurry to go out." At the Snakehead's location, Lu Xining asked, "Why are you taking so long to come out this time?" Zhong Feng sighed. "Oh, it's probably because a certain cute student slept so late that he forgot the concept of time." "What era is this? Are there still students who can forget the concept of time?" "That student is unreliable. That's the one." "You said it too bluntly." "I knew that idiot right away." Lin Qingjun was bored on the snake's back, so he found his brother to chat. "Brother, I have something to ask you." Lin Qingyang nodded and said, "You go ahead." It's nothing. What's your ranking in the Wuling realm?" "Oh, it's not bad. I got a reserve spot." "Tisk, you're just a reserve candidate. Don't tell anyone that you're my brother. I can't afford to lose this person." I snatched the quota from a few Wuling realm level 3 cultivators. "Brother, actually, it is necessary for you to praise me more outside." At this time, a tall and charming lady came over. "Lin Qingyang, are you interested in making a friend?" Lin Qingyang turned his head and looked at her and said, "You are Qingxue, who came in third, right?" Qingxue nodded, her pretty face blushing unconsciously. "No, I didn't expect Senior Lin still remembered me." Lin Qingyang had studied in the academy 10 years ago, but he worked there for a few more years because he was appreciated by a senior executive of Yuqing Weici. Qingxue was enrolled earlier than Lin Qingyang, so she has to be called senior. "Oh, you can go now. Just get to know each other, but forget about making friends." Chapter 69. Qingxue? What's happening? When I chat with a man, don't I always try my best to show my masculinity? The rest of the people couldn't help but open their mouths wide. Rejected. Rejected again. I rejected Wang Guan, who ranked 5th before, and now I'm rejecting Qingxue, who ranked 2nd. Brother, please accept my greeting. How come it's just a matter of knowing each other when it comes to you? Lin Qingjun looked at his brother and asked, "Brother, how did you reject a girl so calmly?" Lin Qingyang said, "What can't be done? Haven't I known enough girls since I was a child?" Lin Qingjun opened his mouth, but finally closed it. "This is true. My brother has been a beauty since he was a child. Wherever he goes, there will be a beautiful woman coming up to him. It was as if all my luck and love had been sucked away by my brother. Wherever I go, the girls there will stay away from me. How come for many years, Shitty was the only person of the opposite S**X who was closest to him? As for why Lin Qingyang didn't take it home, is it shyness? Is it fear? No, none of them. The real reason was that Lin Qingjun would make those girls so angry after talking to them for a short while, or even make them cry and call their parents. Qingxue, who seemed to be forgotten, stamped her feet and said angrily, "Is there any reason why Senior Qingyun doesn't want to be friends with me?" Lin Qingyun shook his head and said, "There's no reason. I just don't want to make friends with you, especially a girl like you." Qingxue was angry again, but soon calmed down. He switched between Lin Qingjun and Lin Qingyun. "Isn't it possible that Senior Qingyun rejected me because of his sexual orientation?" Lin Qingyun couldn't help but frown when he heard this, turned around and looked at her and said, "I am a normal person, so you don't need to remind me of this. And if you are going to use this method to attract my attention, I'm sorry. This will only make me feel disgusted with you." "That's right. What kind of person is this? You slander him just because you can't get him? Is such a person worthy of being a contractor? You might as well join the group of trolls on the internet. You just make up stories and slander him at will. With such an attitude, the leader of the alliance will definitely have a place for you." Lin Qingjun echoed from the side, which made Qingxue very angry. He stomped his feet dozens of times and finally left angrily. Shidi watched from the side, his eyes constantly flickering. A few minutes later, Lu Xining turned around and shouted, "Everyone, be quiet. We have arrived. Let's get ready." "Good." Everyone responded loudly, and then waited expectantly. The 8 colleges competition is also a big competition. As long as you get a high ranking, you will receive a handsome reward. If you advance into the top 5 of this ranking, you can go to participate in the 5 cities competition. To put it another way, the 5 cities competition is equivalent to our global Olympic Games. The rewards are amazing. As long as you go, you will gain something. Lin Qingjun looked at the man standing up on the bed below with a smile on his face. He was ranked first in the West Courtyard, and it shouldn't have been possible for him to barely get first place without the intervention of Emperor Shi. And this time, facing all the geniuses in Weicheng, can he still maintain his winning streak and always get first place? No, I definitely can. Self-confidence gives me enough courage. As the tongue snake descended little by little, you can already see the playing field below. There are already a lot of people gathered below. They all looked up at the tongue snake descending from the sky, with relaxed expressions on their faces. Obviously, these people have been waiting here for a long time. When Tengsha landed, a dozen people who looked like instructors surrounded it. "Hey, Lao Lu, why are you so slow?" "That's right. We've been waiting here for hours before you came." "Lao Lu, this is unlike you. Usually, you are the first one to arrive." These people are similar to mentors Lu Xining and Zhong Feng. Either he is the vice president or the top tutor of each college. Lu Xining saw so many people talking to each other, and she didn't know how long it would take if she had to wait for everyone to finish speaking. He raised his hand to signal everyone to be quiet. "Ahem, okay, everyone, be quiet for a while. The reason I came so late is because a certain idiot slept so late that he forgot the time. So he came so late." Lin Qingjun on the side. "Teacher Lu, I am sure that the idiot you are talking about is me, but I dare not speak out now. But I can fight back in another way." "Hey, Teacher Lu, how can you curse at me? As a teacher, it is wrong to swear." As soon as these words were spoken, the vice presidents and top tutors from other colleges all turned to look. Which student is so brave to say something bad about Lu Xining? But when everyone saw clearly who was speaking, they felt it was natural. They all knew Lin Qingjun, and some time ago, the top leaders of the 8th hospital had discussed his ownership. Lu Xining's facial muscles twitched a few times. Can't this kid just behave himself? At least let us save some face in front of our colleagues. He rolled his eyes and changed the subject. Where's the deputy city lord? Hasn't he arrived yet? A fat young man said, I came here more than once, a total of 4 times, but I left because your west courtyard was not all here. Well, please make way for us so we can line up. Lu Xining said somewhat embarrassedly. After taking a look at Lin Qingjun, the team leaders from each academy returned to their own teams and stood in front of them. Arrange them by realm, with those with higher realms in front and those with lower realms in the back. Lu Xining shouted to the person behind her, then walked towards the west courtyard. Lin Qingjun was standing at the end of the Huagu realm and walking. This is very strange. He is the first in the Huagu realm of the west court, but because his realm is only the second level of Huagu realm, he can only stay at the back of the Huagu realm. It's quite speechless. Later, Li Bai asked, What are you looking at? Lin Qingjun didn't turn around but pointed at a girl in the east courtyard and said, Look at that girl. Are her waves big? Li Bai turned around curiously and immediately raised his eyebrows. It's really big. I would conservatively estimate it to be D class. No, It should be the size of a mid-level D class. Although Li Bai had a piece of cloth tied over his eyes, he could still see things, and see more clearly than with his eyes open. Moreover, Lin Qingjun, the LSP, also assigns 3 levels to each level: low, medium, and high. Chapter 70. Oh, this is really interesting. Lin Qingjun touched his chin and sighed. If my family was half the size of this, I would wake up laughing in my dreams. When he heard this, the emperor couldn't help but frown slightly. Who did my family represent? The D-class beauty with big waves in the east courtyard in front felt someone was looking at her. I couldn't help but turn around and found a pretty and shameless girl staring at my big waves. After looking at it for a while, she looked down at me again. He also raised his hands and touched them as if to measure the gap between himself and her. Maybe it's my own misunderstanding. Shrugging, he turned his head back again. It wasn't until he turned his head back that Lin Qingjun and Li Taibai turned their heads back. Phew, they both breathed a sigh of relief at the same time. Yudon, as a big-breasted girl, how can I be so alert? You don't care if he's okay, as long as he's free and can't be discovered. Lin Qingjun couldn't help turning his head back when he heard this. Tell me, what do you mean by this? Free to watch. Li Taibai smiled coquettishly and said, What I mean by free viewing is, free viewing, just like that free viewing. He couldn't say that he could see through things slightly. Haha, really? Lin Qingjun looked at him sideways and said, Isn't it free that we can watch it now? Can you see through it? Li Taibai. Can this guy see my thoughts? That's possible. Haha, if you can see through it, I have to share it. Okay, you're right. Good things should be shared. It's not like I just keep them in my pocket. The corners of Li Taibai's mouth twitched a few times. You are really not afraid that I will have a grudge against you. Lu Xining led everyone to stand in the west courtyard. After everyone stood up, the figure of Deputy City Lord Xiao Yunqian suddenly appeared on the high platform in front of him. Everyone in the audience bowed and saluted, shouting, Hello, Vice City Lord. In Wei City, there were only 2 supreme rulers, the Lord of the City and the Lord of the Deputy City Lord. As long as the City Lord doesn't leave, the Deputy City Lord is the supreme ruler. Except for Lin Qingjun and Emperor Shi, everyone present did not salute and just stood there, just like Mu Zhuangzi. This made many students from other colleges feel dissatisfied. In their minds, the Deputy City Lord is second only to the City Lord. But here, someone did not salute the Deputy City Lord, which was disrespectful to the Deputy City Lord. When the tutors from other colleges saw this scene, they didn't have much reaction, because they know Lin Qingjun and Lin Qingjun's talent. So there is no such anger. Lin Qingjun, the only one on the court, felt extremely embarrassed. Especially when I felt the angry looks of other students, I felt even more embarrassed. He also wanted to pay his respects to the Deputy City Lord Xiao Yunqian, but he was stopped by Emperor Shi. The reason is nothing more than this. As an empress, I have long been above all living beings, and I am his contract master, so I cannot perform salutes to others, otherwise it would be a slap in her face. Lin Qingjun transmitted his voice through the contract. Can't you just be a little more modest? You're making it difficult for me to do this. The emperor snorted proudly and said, When Qing stands at my level one day, your attitude of wanting to perform a salute for others today will be like a joke. Your level? Haha, Lin Qingjun shook his head and chuckled a few times, saying, Sorry, I just want to be an unknown little loser in my life. Emperor Shi looked at his back without saying a word, or rather, looked at the luck that was rapidly expanding above his head. And this luck would turn invisible and be hidden from time to time. No, it's more like being suppressed than being hidden. The emperor's eyes flickered, as if there was a hint of anger. I was robbed. No, someone has plotted against me. When did this happen? I actually didn't know anything about it. Before, there was no good fortune above Lin Qingjun's head, so she didn't feel it. But now she found that she seemed to have been dragged into the water by someone. If I knew who pushed me into the catastrophe, I will not forgive him for being drawn into the great calamity of the Qing dynasty. Xiao Yunqian did not let them continue like this. Instead, he simply waved his hand and lifted up everyone in the audience. Then he looked at the group of people from the west courtyard who had just arrived below and nodded, his gaze lingering on Lin Qingjun for a while. When he sensed that he had now reached the second level of the solidification realm, the corners of his mouth rose slightly. This growth rate is very fast, and it is reasonable considering Lin Qingjun's talent. He retracted his gaze and laughed loudly. Now that everyone is here, let me tell you about the game plan for tomorrow. Tomorrow, candidates from each academy and each realm will compete. The strongest one will be selected, and then they will compete against each other after the official members have decided the winner. The purpose of doing this is to give the alternative candidates a last chance, an opportunity to sprint to a higher ranking. This reserve spot is not really a reserve spot, but rather a resurrection spot that an eliminated member can fight for on his own. If you don't work hard for it, you can't blame your superiors for not giving you a chance. After Xiao Yunxian had told everything he wanted to say, he waved his hand and said, "Children, go and fight for your own fame and fortune. I hope that each of you will be a dark horse, and each of you will become a genius that suddenly appears. And I, an old man, can do this for you. There is only one, fairness. I will be absolutely fair and let everyone compete peacefully. Well, you must be tired after standing here all day, so let's disband." After saying this, he simply disappeared out of thin air. As the deputy city lord, he still has a lot of government affairs waiting for him to do. Only after Xiao Yunxian left did the entire square return to its noisy state. Yahoo, it's finally over. Where are we going to have fun next? Lin Qingjun pulled Li Taibai, Lan Zhixiao, and others over to discuss. If you want to go out and have fun, I know a place that is part of my family's business. It's a lot of fun and a lot of fun. Li Tai usually grinned. Then what are you waiting for? Let's go. Lin Qingjun waved his hand and said. Li Taibai poked his hand and said with a smile, "You are the one treating us, right? My family's business is spending money very quickly." What? Lin Qingjun looked puzzled after hearing this. You want me to pay for your family's property? Shouldn't you give the order to let us enjoy the love scene in the entire region? Li Taibai shook his head. You don't understand. That business was run by my cousin. Last year I ruined her blind date, and she holds a grudge against me. I have to spend money if I go to any of her businesses. Lin Qingjun. Chapter 71. So, Lan Zhixiao looked at him with squinted eyes and said, "Did you forget to bring money when you went out?" Ha ha ha. Unexpectedly, Lin Qingjun burst into laughter after hearing this. Just when I was wondering if this guy was crazy because he was too excited. Lin Qingjun's painting style suddenly became extremely serious, and he said, "My guess is really accurate. I was really in a hurry and forgot to bring money. Everyone. Holy shit. How dare you laugh when you have no money? How dare you say that you will pay for all the expenses of our trip when you have no money? Where do you get the confidence to say such a thing?" Lan Zhixiao was so angry that she started swearing. I was about to roll up my sleeves and have S*X with him, but fortunately, the people around him were very cooperative and held him back. "Master Lan, calm down, calm down. Don't be like him. That's right. Don't meet him like that. Don't stop me. I'm going to fight him tooth and nail." The more Lan Zhixiao persuaded her, the angrier she became. Veins popped up on her forehead, and she had the aura to attack him if he disagreed with her. Lin Qingjun chuckled disdainfully. "You can't beat me even if you try your best. So you'd better calm down for a while. Isn't it just a matter of money? It will be settled later, right?" Lan Zhixiao didn't really want to fight him. The angry look she had just now disappeared. Then he smiled with a smile on his face. "Haha, you said it lightly. Do you really think that the money is brought by the strong wind? If you really take out the money, I will stand on my head for a whole day." "Oh," Lin Qingjun frowned and said with a smile. "Are you serious? What if you don't mean what you say?" Lan Zhixiao raised her hand and pointed her thumb at herself, saying, Mr. Lan, never tell lies. The water you throw out is just like the filth you pull out. Other than eating it, you can only do what you do." Lin Qingjun opened his eyes slightly, pointed at his nose and said, "I don't ask you to do it. I just ask you to swallow that filth. Get out. You come up with the money first." Lin Qingjun looked around, as if looking for someone. At this time a person came from behind. At this time, Lin Qingjun also turned around. Their eyes met for a moment. Lin Qingjun immediately smiled. The man secretly thought that was bad, covered his face with his hands, turned around and left. Lin Qingjun appeared in front of her and said with a smile, "Hey, what a coincidence. I happen to be looking for you. Senior Sister Yi." Yijie took her hand away and said with a smile, Junior Lin Qingjun, what do you want from me?" She really didn't want to see this person now, because every time she met Lin Qingjun, nothing good would happen. Lin Qingjun chuckled. "Senior, my guess is really accurate. I do have something to do with Senior. Does Senior still remember the bet we made a few days ago?" Yijie was stunned. "Bet? What kind of bet?" A few minutes later, Yijie knelt on the ground and covered her face, pretending to cry. My 1 month's living expenses, Wu Lin Qingjun, you are a murderer. Sooner or later, I will want you to look good." Behind her, Lin Qingjun was holding a sack of money and laughing strangely. These must at least be a small goal. Suddenly he turned to Yi Jia and shouted, Senior Crabby, thank you for your generous funds. I will ask for it if I have the opportunity in the future. Get out. Don't come here again. I don't want to see you in my life. Yi Jia turned around and shouted at the top of her lungs, her voice sounding like a girl whose heart was broken by a scumbag. Lin Qingjun didn't care about these at all. He came to Lan Jixiao and said with a smile, So what are your plans? Do you want to swallow the filth? Or walk upside down for a day? My personal suggestion is to swallow the filth. If you want to eat it hot, I can give it to you for free. Please make a spicy hot pot now. Lan Jixiao. Since when do you have to pay for hot food? Bah, bah, bah. Only the devil would eat that. He waved his hand and shook his head, saying, No need. How can such a small matter bother your sphincter? As he spoke, he raised his hands, then threw himself forward, and then used force with both hands to stand upside down. He walked forward a few steps, turned around and said, Come on, what are you doing standing there? If I have to choose between eating S or doing a handstand, I, Lon, would definitely choose doing a handstand. Lin Qingjun and a few others came to their senses, and while sighing at Lan's cowardice, they asked Li Taibai, Xiaobai, where does your cousin's property belong to? Is it fun? Li Taibai nodded and said, It's quite fun, with everything from eating, drinking, whoring and gambling. Oh my, eating, drinking, whoring and gambling are all available here. Could this be an underground casino? No, you'll know when you get there. On the high platform at the back, the tutors representing each college and the vice president looked at Lin Qingjun below and spoke one after another. A cold-hearted woman said, This child is growing very fast. Will his foundation be unstable? No. I see that he has a strong aura and a strong strength. I think even a SS-level genius contractor in the solidification realm may not be his match. Moreover, do you think the humanoid contracted spirit next to him will sit idly by and watch his master's foundation become unstable? Contracted spirits and humans are closely related, and the two rely on each other and become stronger. Also, this child attaches too much importance to emotions. A true genius is often lonely, and emotions will only limit his growth. A middle-aged man with an immortal look spoke. A skinny old man at the side said with a smile, Hejan, emotions don't have to be a sword stuck in your heart all the time. Sometimes emotions are the driving force that pushes people to keep going. Hejan frowned and said, But that sword is indeed filled with chronic poison. It will stab you at some point, and then slowly corrode your heart in the rest of my life. So it's best to let him give it up as soon as possible. Old man Gu, you don't have to feed me psychological chicken soup. It's useless. Old man Gu opened his mouth, but said nothing more. At this time, the cold woman next to him spoke. Hejan, if there is no emotional support, he will only care about himself. When he becomes powerful in the future, will he still care about our Weiqing? As soon as these words were spoken, everyone fell silent. After much difficulty, an SSS-level super genius was born. What was the purpose? Isn't it just to train him to be as strong as the city lord, to protect them in Weiqing? But what if he turns out to be a filial son after being trained, and massacres them in Weiqing? Wouldn't that be a joke? Okay, we can't just plant a seedling like Lin Qingjun casually. When he grows to a certain size, I believe the city lord will come forward to plant him. Zhong Feng came out and tried to smooth things over with a smile. Yes, that's right. We can't mess with this child at will. We still need the city lord to take action. Lu Xining also stepped out to smooth things over. Then these subordinates quickly passed this difficult problem to their immediate superiors to deal with. At this time, Lin Qingjun and others also came to the business run by Li Taibai's cousin. When they looked at the quaint building in front of them, they couldn't help but be stunned. Chapter 72. Lin Qingjun pointed at the antique building in front of him and said, It is indeed a place full of eating, drinking, whoring, and gambling. But such a place is actually opened by a woman. If you hadn't said it, I really wouldn't believe it. Lan Jixiao looked at the male customers coming in and out, nodded and said, If you hadn't told me, I wouldn't have believed it. A woman would actually open a place like this? And it's so popular. It's really extraordinary. Luo Pinghao and Wen Mengda had a dazed look on their faces. They were about 17 or 18 years old and had no experience with such places. Or maybe their parents don't allow them to come to such a place. Li Bai held his head in his hands, laughed a few times and said, Why? Who said that women can't open brothels? My cousin is one of them. And you see how popular the endless stream of customers is? Obviously, my cousin is a successful, Lin Qingjun shook his head. No, you misunderstood me. I just said that there are very few women who run brothels. And from your tone, it seems that you come here often. No way, haha, but I can tell from your confused looks that you have never been here before. Li Bai looked at them with squinting eyes, his words full of sarcasm. Besides, I came here just to drink and gamble, to add a little fun to my complicated and busy life. Lan Zhixiao raised her hand and took 2 steps forward, then turned around and said, Why are you still standing there? Now that you are here, why don't you have some fun first? Master Li, lead the way. Come on, I'll take you guys out for a good time and drink till you drop. No, we're going to have a competition tomorrow. So let's drink tea instead. Li Bai raised his head and walked forward in a leisurely manner. Just as Lin Qingjun was about to move forward, the corner of his clothes was pulled. He couldn't help but turn his head and saw that it was Emperor Shi who was pulling at the corner of his clothes and shaking his head slightly. Qing, please don't go, okay? I don't like that place. Lin Qingjun was stunned for a moment, then he grinned, raised his hand and rubbed her head secretly. Okay, if you say you don't want to go there, then don't go. Shi Di pursed his lips and nodded slightly. Mr. Lin, hurry up, don't drop your legs. When Mengda and others shouted from not far away, Lin Qingjun turned around and said with a smile, I won't go, you guys just have fun there. Although I felt a little regretful inside, that was a brothel. A place that only existed in ancient times, and yet it existed here. What? You're not scared, are you? You're such a coward. I'm not afraid of anything. I'm a gentleman, and I won't go to such a place. When everyone saw him put his hand on Emperor Shi's head, they all knew what was going on and showed contempt. I value women over friendship. Li Taibai frowned, walked up to Lin Qingjun and said with a faint smile, You can leave, but you have to keep the money. For example, you said you would treat us, Lin Qingjun. Well, thinking about the money, I didn't even try to persuade you to stay. I'm a little sad now. He shrugged, took out several hundred taels of silver and threw it to Li Bai. The universal currencies in this world are silver, gold, and the inner elixirs of exotic beasts. The inner elixirs of exotic beasts are only valuable at high levels, while low levels are worthless. However, high-level inner elixirs of exotic beasts are difficult to use, and the valuations of inner elixirs of exotic beasts vary, so there are currencies marked with silver, gold, etc., instead of the red RMB and US dollar, which are the universal currencies of another world. Li Bai counted them, and the corners of his mouth twitched a few times. 250. It's better not to count. Then he pointed to the right and said, Go to the right over there, and there is another avenue next to it. That is the entertainment street. You can go there to play. Lin Qingjun was immediately moved. Wow, you are so nice, Xiaobai. I don't think they would only insult me. Get lost. I'm only telling you this because you have nowhere to go. Then he walked into the brothel. When the ladies welcoming guests at the door saw Li Bai coming with a few friends, they couldn't help but come forward to greet them. Hey, isn't this Mr. Li? Isn't he training in the West Court Contract Academy? How come you have time to come and play with us again? That's right. Have you brought enough silver for today? Don't let me get asked to leave again, Mr. Li. You need some sisters to accompany you today. Some nice girls are here today. Listening to what these women said, Luo Penghao, and when Mengda felt their bones go limp, when Mr. Lan stood upside down, all the energy and blood in his body flowed downwards, giving people a blushing and heart-beating feeling. But he himself has no feelings for these women. Because Li Bai often visited the place, he had developed a lot of resistance to these. He rubbed his nose and smiled awkwardly. Although I have the desire to live a life of luxury, my sperm bag won't allow it. Oh, is there a time when Master Li can't afford to pay? A middle-aged woman came out, looked at Li Bai and smiled. Whenever Mr. Li comes to my Yuelu, he always spends thousands, tens of thousands, or even taels of silver before leaving. Although most of them are carried away because of debt, this is not like Mr. Li's style. She is the madam of this brothel, and the one who manages all the women in this brothel. Li Bai put 250 taels into the bag, shook it and said with a smile, Aunt Lu, I only have 250 taels, do you want it? If you want it, we brothers will choose a few girls and pour it for us. Tea or something. In his heart, he had already dug up all of Lin Qingjun's ancestral graves. He has 100 million taels of silver, and only gives me 250 taels. Where does this make Mr. Li, who spends money like water, look after his reputation? Aunt Lu grabbed the bag of silver and put it into her pocket without making a sound. Then she clapped her hands and said, My mistress also said that you are also his closest cousin. Although you need silver to come to Uelu, but the girl must be of first-class rank. Sisters, come out and let the gentleman choose one. Then young and beautiful women came out from both sides. Several people stand in a row and choose. Li Taibai picked the most beautiful girl, then turned around and looked at the three people and said with a smile, "Choose, don't be polite. It's all paid by Lin. But it's a pity that Lin didn't come. I want the lowly, the shortest one." Lan Zhixiao stood upside down and pointed at the shortest woman with one free hand. "I want a woman, preferably between 35 and 40. I want a young girl. The younger the better." After the four beasts made their choice, they went to a quieter area in the hall to drink tea. If you need special activities, you will have to pay extra. As for Lin Qingjun, others are in. Chapter 73. Lin Qingjun took Shi Di to stroll around the entertainment street. The so-called entertainment street is actually a snack street, but it also has some entertainment items like acrobatics. Wow, Weiqing is really prosperous. It even has a snack street, and it's much bigger than the snack streets in those short videos I watched on Blue Star. Lin Qingjun stood at the entrance of the small street, looking at the snack street that seemed to have no end, and felt a sense of emotion. Among the 5 cities on Kaiyuan continent, only Weiqing and Qingqing have such snack streets. One is peaceful governance, which means being free before the storm and recovering quickly. The other is to rely on sufficient strength. As for the others, haha, everyone is clear about the slavery system alone. Haha, that feels good. Let's go take a look. Lin Qingjun grabbed Shidi's wrist and walked forward. The latter just let him be dragged away without resistance. The two stopped in front of a barbecue stall. "Boss, how much is this lamb leg?" The boss looked up and smiled. "The golden-toothed sheep we hunted yesterday are all exotic beasts that are less than level 1, but their meat is absolutely delicious." Lin Qingjun turned his head and looked at Shi Di and asked, "Do you want to eat?" The latter shook his head. "If it wasn't Qing's doing, I can't eat it." If you don't eat it, then I will." "Then boss, give me half a lamb, the one that's the size of a palm." "Okay." Soon a lamb the size of a palm was handed over. Lin Qingjun took it and took a bite. It's crunchy and there are a lot of bones. But for him at his current level, the bones of a lamb are like popcorn and the meat is very tender. And don't talk about how cruel it is to eat lamb. In this world, humans and monsters are hostile to each other. In the eyes of strange beasts, humans are just elixirs that can increase their levels. It is similar in the eyes of humans. Their inner elixir is like a spirit stone. Therefore, if you encounter strange beast cubs in the wild, you will eat them or kill them directly. After walking a few steps forward, Lin Qingjun turned around and handed the lamb in his hand to Emperor Shi, saying, "No, it's delicious." Shi Di looked at the half-bitten lamb in front of him, pursed his lips, a slight blush appeared on his pretty face that no one noticed, and shook his head slightly. "You gave me a half-bitten one to eat? How can I eat it?" "Really? It would be a shame not to eat it. It's quite delicious." As they walked, they saw a group of people gathered in front of them, not knowing what they were looking at. The power of time and space was activated, and the two of them appeared directly in front of the crowd. I saw a man in front of me sitting in front of a guqin and playing it randomly. The people around him couldn't help but laugh when they heard the extremely unpleasant sound of the piano he played. "Hey, if you don't know how to play the piano, don't play it randomly. It sounds really bad. Yeah, it's so ugly and you still come out to show off. It's too conspicuous. Come down." Being mercilessly mocked by a group of people, the man couldn't help but blush with anger. He clapped his hands on the piano, stood up and said, "What are you laughing at? You don't even dare to come up." He waved his hand, turned around and left. The people around him also made way for him. "Ha ha ha, yes, we don't dare to go up and play, but we won't be as embarrassed as you. Ha ha." Lin Qingjun looked at those people who laughed at others and shrugged helplessly. It seems that trolls are everywhere, and they will troll whenever they get the chance, no matter what your situation is. Then he pulled the man next to him and asked, "Brother, what's wrong with this piano? Isn't it that person's piano?" The person next to him was a woman. She turned to look at Lin Qingjun, looked him up and down, frowned and said, "Aren't you a young man? Who are you calling brother?" "I'm a woman, a woman." Lin Qingjun lowered his head and looked at her chest. "The road is smooth and flat. If this isn't brothers, then who is it?" But she still had an embarrassed smile on her face and said, "Sister, I'm sorry, what's wrong with this piano? This piano is suspended in the air like that. No one would believe it is an ordinary piano." The woman said, "That zither is a person's contracted spirit, and its quality is quite high, reaching the A level. If you want to explain how it is here, that's a bit mysterious. Mysterious? How mysterious is it? Oh, it's this Qin that killed its master and then ran here. Among the contracted spirits that killed their masters, the weapon soul contracted spirit ranks last. I really don't understand it. Ah, this? Lin Qingjun scratched his head, not knowing what to say. The contracted spirit killed its master, which means that the zither is no longer affected by the contract and can go wherever it wants. This means that it is ownerless, and whoever can tame this evil zither can become the new owner of the zither. This is the first time I've seen someone like this running on the street. The woman said. Lin Qingjun touched his chin and said, "Why don't you go and try it? What are you looking at here?" The woman puffed out her chest and said as if it was a matter of course, "Nonsense. Of course I'm here to watch the show. If not for the show, why would I be standing in the front row?" Lin Qingjun. That makes so much sense, I can't even argue with it. At this time, Empress sure pulled his sleeve and said, "Qing, let's go. There's nothing good to stay here." Lin Qingjun smiled and said, "Wait a minute. If no one else comes up, I'll show off my skills, although I never played the piano in my previous life. But he has some scattered memories in this life. Su Zifang Lin's mother taught him some piano skills when he was a child. But for some reasons, I didn't continue studying." Emperor Sure did not insist and nodded slightly. She just felt bored here, so she asked Lin Qingjun to leave. It's Du Qingfu and Du Qingying from the Du family. Two of the Du family's 5 beauties are here. Yes, I am lucky enough to see 2 of the 5 beauties of the Du family. You know, the 5 beauties of the Du family rarely show up. When Lin Qingjun heard the exclamations of the people around him, he couldn't help but turn his head to look. I found out that they were a man and a woman with a scholarly air. They were both very elegant, and it was obvious that they were not gentle people. Lin Qingjun curled his lips. He hated playing with scholars the most. There is only one reason. I can't swear, and it's boring. Lan Zhixiao is excluded from this point, as he has been led astray by Lin Qingjun. Du Qingfu looked at the zither in front of him and said, "No one should be playing this zither now. Second sister, why don't you try it? What if the zither recognizes its owner?" Du Qingying smiled and said, "Brother, you are joking. The Qin that killed its master shows that he wants to be free. Now that he is free, how can he continue to recognize someone else as his master? Hey, second sister, just give it a try. It won't be a big deal." Seeing that her elder brother had asked many times, Du Qingying couldn't refuse and had to nod. Then Qingying will make a fool of herself. As he said this, he walked to the piano and prepared to start playing. Shhhhhh Du Qingfu made a hushing gesture to the crowd. Chapter 74. Hearing the boos, everyone couldn't help but quiet down, looking forward to Du Qingying's actions. The latter quickly calmed down and got into the state, with his hands on the piano. Just flick it lightly with one finger. Zhang, a clear piano sound was heard, and then 10 fingers began to play the piano quickly and continuously. Not long after, a song was interrupted at its climax. Du Qingying raised her head and smiled a little embarrassedly. Sorry, I'm not very familiar with this song, and I always interrupt it at this place. Pa, Du Qingfu took the lead in clapping and said, "It's already very good. It's already very good to be able to play to this level, even though you don't practice often." Others around echoed, "Yes, it is quite remarkable that it is so pleasant to the ears when played so often. Alas, it's a pity that this zither still doesn't move. Even with such great skills, can't this zither even recognize its master?" Du Qingying gently stroked the surface of the piano with one hand. Said, "Maybe it is waiting for a suitable owner." According to the historical records of contracted spirits killing their masters, contracted spirits will not kill their masters unless there is a murder weapon or some other innate reasons. There is only one acquired reason. The master treats the contracted spirit as a servant, calling it when he wants and sending it away when he wants, and then he often scolds the contracted spirit. If a contracted spirit is treated unfairly, it will develop a strong resentment towards its master over time. When this resentment reaches a certain level, it will break through the constraints of the contract and kill its master. Du Qingfu stepped forward and said with a smile, "If you can't get it, don't force it. We are here just to have fun and relax. Let this zither wait for its owner here." Du Qingying nodded, stood up, and left with her brother. But before they had to wait long, they heard more discussions from behind. The 2 siblings couldn't help but turn their heads to look. I saw a handsome young man who was unforgettable at first sight sitting in front of the piano, as if he was about to play. Du Qingying said, "Brother, it seems like someone else wants to play." Du Qingfu nodded, and he looked at Lin Qingjun's face, frowned, and thought for a moment. Suddenly, he raised his head and said, "This person seems to be a contestant from the West Courtyard, and he seems to be the last one in the solidification realm." If Lin Qingjun heard what he said, he would definitely shout, "Oh my god, actually you won't believe that I'm the best in Huagu realm, but actually I am the best." As the two were discussing, a soft voice was heard. "This sound is so mysterious. It seems that this person must also be someone who knows the piano very well." Du Qingying couldn't help but exclaimed. Du Qingfu also nodded in agreement. However, the sound of the piano the next second made their faces burn with pain, because Lin Qingjun's playing sounded like he was sawing a piece of steel wire with an electric saw. It's harsh, loud, and extremely enchanting. "Brother, I take back what I said just now. That sound is really unpleasant." "Well, it's more than just unpleasant to the ear. Even beginners are several times better than him. This guy probably doesn't understand music at all." And the person involved, Lin Qingjun, was playing the piano very happily. An expression that says, "I am a great musician. I thought I played very well." Shirdi, standing by, also covered his ears in disgust. "I've never lost a beast before." Lin Qingjun is now trying hard to think about the steps his mother taught him when he was a child. As time went by, my playing skills became more and more sophisticated. It's no longer unpleasant to the ear, but it's not pleasing to the ear either. Soon, the song ended, and Lin Qingjun stood up and bowed to everyone, saying, "Thank you all for listening. This makes me very proud. I felt so proud. I almost thought it was a magnitude 10 earthquake, and I almost had a heart attack." Yes, that's right. And where the hell do you get the confidence that makes you so proud? How about some billion? Tisk, how can a bunch of ignorant ordinary people understand my perfection? Lin Qingjun smiled contemptuously and said with disdain. Then he stroked the strings of the zither and said, "I know you are a zither with a spirit, so come and tell these ignorant mortals about my talent." The people watching around all showed contemptuous expressions. "You are such a person and you still want the spirit of the weapon to evaluate you? You are so shameless." Haha, I think the instrument spirit was stunned by his piano playing, so it's impossible for it to see him. Hiss, hearing these people's mocking remarks, Lin Qingjun, who had a bad temper, couldn't stand it anymore. "Now, beat them to death." Shirdi waved his hand and several figures appeared behind him, beating these people madly. It made noises like a pig about to be slaughtered. Empress frowned and waved his hand again, and a few more pairs of stinky shoes came out of their mouths. "It's quiet now." Lin Qingjun's brows relaxed. He knocked on the zither in front of him and said, "Hey, instrument spirit, come out and answer my question. If you don't come out, I'll smash you." Soon, the piano vibrated a few times, and then a black figure with an unclear face appeared. The little black man appeared while wiping away tears. "No, I'll just scare you a little so you don't cry." As he spoke, Lin Qingjun looked around and picked up a brick on the ground next to him. "I was thinking, I will threaten it again later, and if the spirit still cries, I will just take a picture of it." The black man raised his head and said in a baby voice, "I am crying because I feel my master's original feeling towards you." "What?" Lin Qingjun looked confused. Soon the black man said again, "Yes, when my previous master first signed the contract with me, he also played the piano so badly. I remember that he almost hit me because he played so badly. I was shocked by that scene. I still remember it now. It's very vivid." Lin Qingjun. "Wow, I finally know how the previous owner of this piano died. It was as if he was hated by his contracted spirit, and that was why he died." The black man wiped his tears and said, "If you think that I killed my master because I hated him, then you are wrong. I don't really care about it. I just remember it clearly. The reason why I killed my master was because he changed his heart. He no longer took care of me like he did at the beginning. He would touch me and take care of me at every turn. He no longer scolded me or smashed things like he used to." Lin Qingjun. "I didn't keep it in my mind, but I remember it clearly. Look at what he said. It's like Zhuang Zhou equipped himself with purification and bought a critical strike outfit to deceive everyone. Aren't these last few sentences the opposite? Then can you tell me how I played this piece?" The black man looked up at Lin Qingjun's kind smile and said, "Big brother, why are you holding the brick so high?" Chapter 75. Ahem. Lin Qingjun coughed a few times, threw the brick in his hand aside, and said, "Please don't worry about these little details. You haven't answered my question yet." The black man looked away from the brick, looked into Lin Qingjun's eyes and said directly, "It's terrible." "Hey, Hey, brother, brother. Dear brother, don't get excited, don't get excited. Put down the brick and let's talk properly. I haven't finished what I want to say yet. Lin Qingjun placed the brick in front of him, patted the dust off his palm and said, I'll just listen to you finish your words. Gulp, the black man looked at the brick and swallowed. If this spirit had eyes, they would definitely be wide open, with fear written all over their face. As an honest instrument spirit, I have to tell you the truth. Your playing is really bad. But in my eyes and ears, it is the most beautiful song. Really, really, really wow. The weapon spirit spoke a lot in a panic, and when he saw Lin Qingjun put down the brick again, he continued. My last master played as badly as you do, but to my ears, it sounded better than the most beautiful music in the world. Lin Qingjun nodded, but the corner of his mouth curled up into an evil smile and said, But this is not what I want to hear. What I want to hear is you praising the song I played for being beautiful. Damn it, I'll smash you to pieces. Wow, the weapon spirit was so frightened that it raised its hands to cover its face and said, Master, I am willing to be your servant, a contracted slave. Lin Qingjun stopped holding the brick in time. Are you willing to be my contracted spirit? Although, the contracted spirit that killed its master gained freedom and became ownerless, but you can still sign again with others. However, the restrictions will be even more severe. The first time, there is more or less a possibility of killing the master and regaining freedom, but the second time signing the contract, you will really become a slave. It can even be transferred without any human rights. However, the prerequisite is that the contracted spirit must agree. The black man nodded and said, Yes, I agree. Seriously? Seriously? Are you sure it's not cooked? They said it was cooked. Bah, how could it be cooked? My previous master was a great master above the Tongling realm, and I have been with him as his contracted spirit for a long time, so I have mastered many cultivation secrets. Just when Lin Qingjun was somewhat tempted, a slender, white, and very pretty little hand rested on the piano. Empress looked at the zither indifferently and said coldly, With such low qualifications, are you qualified to be a slave of the Qing dynasty? The black man turned to look at her and said, Why am I not worthy? Is it because my level is only A? This level is already very high. Okay? Empress waved his hand and threw the zither away. That's right. Such poor qualifications are just inferior in my eyes. You are going too far. The black man roared madly and looked at Lin Qingjun pitifully and said, You can accept me, right? Lin Qingjun shook his head and said, Don't bother to disgust me. Your qualifications are really too low in my eyes. Grade A is indeed a relatively high grade in the eyes of the public. But don't forget that the Emperor of Time is SSS level, and he definitely has a lot of potential hidden. What? The black man felt like he was struck by lightning. Then the entire piano emitted a black and red light. As the black and red light lit up, the momentum of the entire piano soared. Then everyone opened their mouths. It has actually improved. The qualifications have improved just like that. It's outrageous. It's getting more and more outrageous. Can we improve our aptitude just by being stimulated? As soon as these words were spoken, many people looked at their contracted spirits. Then these people try every possible means to anger their contracted spirits. But in return, all he got was the air purified by Zhuangzhou. Slowly the neurosis feeds. It's not their fault. The qualifications of the contracted spirits represent their future achievements. If your qualifications are not improved, your future achievements will always be limited. The black man looked at Lin Qingjun pleadingly and said, Master, now that I am this level, can I be your contracted spirit? The latter's facial muscles twitched a few times. In order to become my contracted spirit, he actually raised his qualification level like this? When did I become so popular? He couldn't help but look at Emperor who was standing beside him. Emperor just shook his head slightly and sent a message to Lin Qingjun. After hearing this, Lin Qingjun was stunned and looked at the piano and said, You are not worthy. You are still not worthy. Why? I'm already an S-level contracted spirit. Why don't you accept me? You know the reason yourself. Also, is it really that great to have an S-level qualification? Hearing this, the crowd of onlookers behind him couldn't help but open their mouths wide. Oh my God! He refused again. Is this person mentally ill? That's right, S-level qualifications are high-end no matter where they are. If you don't want it, you can give it to me. The little black man landed on the piano, with a look of confusion in his eyes. Blah blah. a bunch of silent words from my heart. Lin Qingjun didn't pay much attention to it, turned around and left with Shirdi. Why not? The reason was that the emperor had given him a message before. It is not credible to say that this zither had killed its owner before. Even the secondary contract is more powerful and more balanced. But you may have other thoughts in the future. During this time, Lin Qingjun automatically believed what Emperor Shi said. When choosing between outsiders and your own people, you should definitely choose your own people. And Shidi looked at Qin in a strange way from the very beginning. If Qin really became Qing's second indentured servant, who knows what would happen? As he walked, Shirdi put one hand behind his back and hooked it. A transparent blue mirror appeared behind the black man who was still doubting Qin Sheng. Then the black man was suddenly sucked into the mirror and disappeared. This is a skill of the Emperor of Time. Suck living beings or objects into time and space. Although it will not cause any actual harm to them, they cannot get out. I can only be trapped inside and drift aimlessly. There are only a few possibilities that I can think of. Not long after they walked forward, they ran into two people head-on. A man and a woman, yes, the Du Qingying and Du Qingfu from before. Lin Qingjun looked up and asked, "What's the matter?" Du Qingfu nodded and smiled. "I have something to ask, can I?" "Cannot." Before he could finish his words, Lin Qingjun blocked the road. Then he took Shidi's wrist and walked around the two of them. Du Qingfu was not annoyed. He smiled and turned to Lin Qingjun and said, "Can we make a friend?"